Just making sure the button is pressed. Thank you.
Button's pressed.
It's red now.
It's pressed. All right. Welcome to the Ham Radio Workbench Podcast, your biweekly deep dive on technical topics of interest to the radio amateur. If this is the first time you've joined us, we're really happy that you're here. We have over 263 episodes in our back catalog. You can find all of them at our webpage, hamradioworkbench.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook. The group is Ham Radio Workbench. You can go to our Discord off of our webpage, get our Never Expires link. And on Discord, you can find lots of other listeners, and we share information about our projects, what's on our workbenches, asking technical questions, talking about operating portable and all kinds of fun stuff. And you can also chat with us live and direct on the Brandmeister DMR Talk Group 31075, and now the very active, I'm happy to say, All-Star Node 55915. So please come along and say hello. And today on the show, we're going to talk about field day prep and also what we saw at Hamvention 2026. It was kind of weird because the last couple episodes we recorded before Hamvention, and so there's kind of this joke about like, so how was Hamvention? And none of us had actually been there. So we kind of didn't get the timing quite right on talking about what we're going to do and what we did after. So this is the first real episode that we're recording actually after Hamvention. So we can talk about what Hamvention was all about. And so on today's show, we have Mark N6MTS. Hello, Mark.
Hello, hello. How y'all doing?
We all good? We all good here in Oregon? Where are you?
I am, coincidentally, I also happen to be in Oregon.
No kidding.
In fact, right now, I am on the other side of the table from you.
I thought I heard something.
Yeah.
Well, nice of you to be here.
So
in
those of us on video can see George now because I'm turning the laptop around. Yeah.
So here we are, and the reason that Mark's here is because we're going to go to CPAC in Seaside, Oregon this weekend.
Indeed.
So what else is new?
A lot of travel, lots and lots of driving. We'll talk about that in my workbench, but yeah, that's good.
Cool. All right, very good. And we also have Vince, VE6LK. Hello, Vince.
Vince was not expecting to be called.
He wasn't expecting it.
Hang on a second.
Not working properly.
So all of you listeners need to understand that of all of us, Vince is the most audio-visually nerdly person of us. And if anybody has their act together all the time, it's Vince. And for Vince to not have pressed the unmute button is quite a rare occasion. So hello, Vince.
Hello, George.
How are you, buddy?
Beyond not being able to locate the right window and the right mute button because my Stream Deck apparently is on strike, fine.
Well, that's very good. So we missed you at Hamvention, so I hope it was worth it sticking around at home. But I think you had a radio adventure.
I had all kinds of stuff going on at the same time as Hamvention, so next year.
Okay, good. I assume we'll hear more about your adventures shortly.
Yes, we will.
Okay, very good. We also have Thomas K4SWL. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Doing great.
Chilling.
You make it back from Hamvention okay?
I did. I think I just now kind of caught up. I think I feel like I've caught up with sleep and everything else. It was exhausting.
One of us has.
It was so much fun. Yeah, and I didn't even drive across the country. So, but I'm just now kind of catching my breath and kind of seeing the light, and things are going to slow down right before they speed up again.
Unpack your luggage.
Yeah.
Put all the antennas away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very
Clean
good.
up a car.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
That's a me thing. Never mind.
So we also have on the show today Paul WD9GCO. Hello, Paul.
Hello. It's still Xenia, right? I'm still got the hat.
Yep.
That's
well,
right.
You guys were like the Tilly twins.
Yeah.
Tilly twins.
I gotta say, for those of you listening to this, I'm wearing the Tilly hat that I bought because Thomas told me I needed to get one, and
yeah.
he was right.
So So what's so
They're
great about
wonderful
it?
hats. No, they're fantastic hats.
After all the years, because I am, follically challenged up top, and I need to keep, because I'm also getting old, and keep the sun off of the stuff up there. And I kept looking for a nice wide brimmed hat that didn't look really stupid, and I've looked for years on vacation. We look, and I never found anything that really fit well or stayed on my head well. And then Thomas said, "You need this." 100%. This fits me perfectly, and it stays. I've walked in really, really heavy breezes and wind, and it doesn't leave my head. Yeah. So this was not inexpensive, but totally worth it.
So I have a ginormous head. For anyone who's familiar with hat sizes, I wear an 8. And yeah, which is normal or huge. Most people, normal hat sizes are between like 7 1/4 and 7 3/4.
That's about mine.
Yeah, I'm an 8. I have a very long head front to back, and finding hats that fits me is nearly impossible. And
I thought you were going to say, I have a ginormous hat for anybody, a ginormous head, and for anybody that knows me, they know it's true. I thought that's true. Where you were going.
Yep.
I have to say, I'm in the same boat there, Mark. Like, I have a huge hat size, and so I go to like stores, and it's like, yeah. So have you ever been? I know you have, Mark. I know you have. You've gone to some event where they're giving out a hat for all the participants to wear, and you put it on, and it looks like you're putting on a kitty hat because your head's so a huge coconut, right? Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and even if I can fit it down over my head, the adjustable thing, one size fits all adjustable hats. Like, they're not. Even when it's only gone one little thingy there, it's still tight on my head.
Well, that's because your brain is larger than most people, because you're so smart. You have to have a place to put all that knowledge.
It's the ego is what it is.
Go with that.
Ego. Yeah.
And Thomas, one other thing, it's funny, since I've gotten this, and once you know the little things to look for when you're looking at a hat to tell if it's a Tilly, when we go on vacation, they're everywhere.
Yeah. It's kind of like getting the Toyota Corolla or something. And then after you get it, you notice everybody else that has the same Toyota Corolla. Yep.
So I'm quite happy with my hat. So,
well, welcome to this episode of Hat Talk.
Hat Talk. That's right. Hats on the air.
Okay, well, so we don't really have any announcements per se. So we're going to jump into a roundtable of what's on our workbench, and then after that, we're going to talk about what we discovered at Hamvention and what we did, and then after that, a few pointers on Field Day, because Field Day is right around the corner. By the time this episode drops, Field Day will be about a month off. So it'll be time to start thinking about the gear and the antennas and all that other stuff. So let's start with a bit of a roundtable of what's on your workbench. So, Mark, why don't we start with you?
Well, so in the sense of we never talk about the actual show subject in our What's on the Workbench segment, I just realized that all of my workbench stuff is about what just happened at Hamvention. So this will be interesting. I'm going to be flying off the cuff on this one.
Just make something up.
Just okay, cool.
No,
actually, no, there is something I can't talk about.
The secret squirrel project.
The secret, no, that is still a secret squirrel. But the one thing I have been working on is I have 2 portable radios. I got my MCHF and I got a QMX. And a lot of the portable radios, they have different wiring. They're one of 2 wirings on the microphone. It's either mic on tip and PTT on ring, or PTT on tip and mic on ring. And obviously you can't use one in a radio that's designed for the other. But I don't like using handheld microphones. I like using my headset, this microphone, although I'm not using it right now. You can ignore it. This is the anyway, I like using this microphone and these headset with a handheld PTT whenever I'm operating. So what I need is a device that will take a CTIA headset, give me a PTT, and then split that out into separate headphones and microphone plugs that I can plug into the radio. And so I made this years ago that does exactly that, and it's wired for my MCHF. But it doesn't work on the QMX because the QMX is the opposite wiring. And then the other thing I noticed is that on the QMX, the microphone comes in on the port for the Morse code paddles. It uses the same physical port. So when you're in CW mode, it uses them as dry contacts for left and right paddle. And when you're in voice mode, it uses it as an analog input. But electrically, you have your key and your microphone in parallel. And so what I did is I ended up making a little circuit board here. Designed this, and it has the same two cables going out into the 3.5 millimeter plugs, one microphone and one headphone. And then you plug a CTIA in on this side, like my headset gets plugged in on this side. And then the switch up here swaps back and forth between the mic and the PTT, which is on tip and which is on ring. So I can use this same dongle and my same headset for either the MCHF or the QMX. And then I also have an external PTT in socket. So you can use an external PTT or the button that's on here. There's a button on the board itself, and you can plug in your key. So basically, this goes into the radio. Then you have this little junction box. You plug your headset in one, an optional PTT in the other one, and your key in a third one. And then you set the switch to the right place, and it'll work on basically any of the radios.
I was going to say, if only somebody could design some sort of common interface between a headset and radios.
So the reason I did not make this OHIS is because this is meant for portable. Like I want this to be as small and lightweight as possible so that I can stuff it in the bag with my MCHF and go.
Yeah.
In a portable environment, you don't really benefit a lot from the flexibility that OHIS gives you, right? That's trying to solve a problem in a different space. So I really want OHIS to take off, and I want it to be used everywhere it makes sense for it to be used, but I also don't want to shoehorn it in places where it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of making sense, I would have saved you a lot of time and effort if you would have just given me your MCHF. I'm just saying, you wouldn't even need this.
That is true.
You see, that's the kind of people we are. Thomas is offering to take one for the team just to help a brother out.
Throwing himself on the grenade.
Thank you for recognizing that, Paul.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen it yet, or he may not have posted it yet, I don't know. Thomas used my MCHF for about an hour at our little POTA post Hamvention POTA thing that we did, and he kind of fell in love with it.
The one where he got 117 contacts in 15 minutes or something.
It was about that, yeah.
Using my paddle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I loved your paddle, too. I was going to try to steal both of those, but you guys were there the whole time.
I know. As I was walking out, I was patting all of my pockets to make sure that you hadn't stolen anything. So anyway, this is what's been on my workbench, non-work related workbench stuff anyway. And then the question is, would anyone else be interested in something like this? Should I turn it into a product? If I did, it would probably be a kit, that you would buy the parts and solder it together yourself, and maybe provide your own 3.5 millimeter cable, just cut it in half and do the thing.
Would that work for switching between like a KX2 and a QMX?
Yes. Yeah. So the KX2 is the same wiring as one of those. I don't remember. Well, okay. So if the KX2 is not the same as the QMX, then the KX2 is the same as the MCHF.
The QMX is the odd man out in these.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
It is.
All of the rest of them are the same.
Okay. So yes, it would.
And could be interested.
You could be talked into buying one of those. Okay, so I may turn that into a product. They're super cheap and inexpensive and easy to do.
Well, I was going to say, if you can do it as a kit, just do a load of them for like 4 days in May next year, and you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
I don't have to wind toroids, do I?
No toroids on this.
Okay, good.
I'm sure you can figure out a way to put one in there.
That's true. I probably could. I'll work on that for you.
Thanks.
1972 turns of number 40 magnet wire.
Exactly.
With 17
with 5 taps.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Anything else, Mark?
No.
Okie doke. Vince, how about you? What's on the bench?
Well, it has been busy around here, in the last couple of weeks. Recently, I was getting ready to go off and do rally sport, and I've done this from time to time. I've probably been doing rally. Well, I've been doing rally for over 20 years, and I've been doing net control over the past 10 or 15 now. And I really enjoy it. So first off, when Vince goes out into the field with his old vehicles, sometimes they get broken. So I was told I can't go out into the field anymore unless it's the first checkpoint. Translation, not very far down the logging road. And it keeps my truck in one piece, which is good. So with that, I get to go and do net control. That's what I volunteer for. And net control in Western Canada, we run with 2 net control operators on the same frequency at the same time. And one operator is running an active stage, and the other operator is interleaving their communications, getting the next stage ready. So you might think to yourself, there's a lot of radio traffic going on. Yeah, you'd be right. There's a ton of radio traffic going on. And I deleted the expletive in front of it because there really is a ton of radio traffic going on. So I had to get all my gear ready for that. And I haven't had my kits out for a while. And so I realized that there were a couple of things I'd borrowed from my kit. I fell into the hole of taking something out. And now those kits are complete again. And they're all back in place. Now, one of the big challenges I had was the building that I haven't been in for 5 years. We're working in the mezzanine of an arena at the skinny end of the arena. So we're upstairs, and there used to be a pair of windows that would open. And I used to be able to run my feed line up with magnetic hooks and cheap dollar store carabiners up across the lighting fixtures and over across the ceiling and out through the metal frame of the window. Well, the windows have been sealed. Oh. So I bring all 275 feet of my coax with me, which is thin gauge coax. Half of it is RG400. RG400 is great stuff. Teflon coated. It's got loss characteristics that are about half as good as LMR 400, which is to say it's twice as good as RG8X at VHF frequencies. So it's reasonable. It's not cheap, but I take good care of it. And so I brought half of my collection as that. I think I'm going to have to fatten that up if I'm going to keep going back to this arena. And we had to get an antenna outside. So I brought along my 28-foot flagpole to-go mast. It usually sits in the box of my truck. I use it for POTA. And I was doing some POTA before net control. So that's a story unto itself. Well, I put up the mast, but I'm right beside the power lines. And by right beside, I mean I'm within 6 feet of the power lines. Now, I didn't put up the mast the whole way. I still had a lot of separation. But what I was noticing on simplex frequencies, i.e. frequencies with lower signal to noise ratio, I was hearing a whole lot of buzz. I moved my mast over to the other side. Now, in order for me to do this, I had to do some research. And I remember sending a well-respected antenna manufacturer who's a sponsor of this show a question about a 5/8 wave antenna, saying apparently the 5/8 wave antenna does need a ground plane. It's a myth that it does not. And so I was proving this with my analyzer.
Yeah.
I put a 5/8 whip up on a mount and got 2-to-1 SWR in at the target frequency. And then I built a radio kit for it, and all of a sudden 1-to-1 SWR.
Yeah.
So
The 5/8 wave needs a quarter wave of ground plane. It effectively works like a quarter wave with the additional bit at the top, but it's still a ground plane. The half wave is the one you don't need a ground plane for.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
But you'll need a matching network.
Yeah, but if you got an end-fed half wave vertical antenna, the matching network is built in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
The coil in the base of the mobile whip in this case,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so I didn't have a ground plane kit. Like I used to have one from Larson, the commercial one, and I sold it off at the flea market probably for $3 or $4 because I hadn't used it for a few years. And all of a sudden I needed it. So I looked at DigiKey. Well, they wanted $158.17. And I said,
Walmart only wants about $4 for a cookie sheet.
well, I couldn't. You have to hear the whole story though, because the spot I had to put it up in was really restricted because of closeness to power lines. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
right beside the building I'm at, too. So long story short, I 3D printed and designed a little widget to drop into the top of my mast, which was good. And I have some 36-inch welding rods on hand to make ground planes out of on the cheap. And so I did that, and I put the mast up. And apparently I didn't put it up well enough because I came in the next morning, and the darn thing had collapsed down a couple of sections, and it broke it.
Oh.
Out with the duct tape. So now I take out the mount, which is a 2-inch SO239 with an NMO conversion adapter screwed onto the top. And I screw the feed line onto it, and I screw the antenna onto it, and I duct tape the damn thing to the top of the mast. Now the thing at least clears the edge of the building, and I've got line of sight to everywhere. Without ground plane, I knew my SWR was going to be 2-to-1, but I didn't have to run more than 10 of my 50 watts. So the radio would tolerate that SWR mismatch. The weekend was full of excitement like that. We also lost a radio operator going to their position, and we had to split off our 2 net control operators, and yours truly ran the coordinated search effort for him. The long story short is the guy was found. So that's the important thing. But all of this happened in the same flippin' day.
Yikes.
So yeah, rally was kind of intense this past weekend. But I did get to do some POTA, and I was off the weekend before. I drove down to Waterton National Park, which is the northern half of the Glacier Waterton International Peace Park that our 2 loving countries share. And so it's down in the deep southwest corner of Alberta. And I went down there and I activated a few entities that I had not before. And we hung out and, we had lunch and did those things because it's kind of a cute little tourist town. And it wasn't a long weekend and it wasn't busy. So that was pretty cool. And I worked a guy who I gave an exam to a while ago. So now I'm off in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the Castle Wildland Provincial Park. It's 10 minutes off the highway. Now, Thomas and I had contact there once, and I swear it was by cryptesthesia, ESP. And Thomas had his KH1 out in the Lowe's parking lot, and he and I somehow managed to contact from that very point. So it was kind of neat to see it without the snow and the ice on it.
Yeah, I remember that well.
Yeah, and so this fella said, "Oh, Vince, hey, you were one of my examiners." And we had a quick little chat. And that warmed my heart so much to hear somebody come on the air that recognized me as a guy who, like, all I did was proctor his exam. He did the hard work. But it's great to meet people like that, right?
Yeah.
So that was neat. And then
did he share with you like what he's been doing in his fairly new ham career?
Well, funny enough, he did. He's been writing articles as what does he say? Inspired by this website. You might have heard of it, QRPER.com. And so I'll put a link to his story in our show notes because Pete has got a great little website and he's really exploring going out and operating portable. Even if it's at 100-watt levels, he's having a lot of fun with it. So that was really heartwarming for me to see.
Is he going to call it QROer.com?
No, he calls it PeteG. something. Look in the show notes.
Okay.
And then just lastly, the day before rally, I went off, and there were a number of parks around the rally area that had not yet been activated. And indeed,
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. I nailed 2 of them by drive up, and I'm blown away that I could drive up to 2 of them. Now, 2 of them were deep in logging country, and radios are mandatory in logging country in British Columbia. The license is free. You must use a proper commercial grade radio or a Part 90 radio for you guys. I couldn't find the frequency to the logging road, so there's no way I'm going up this logging road, knowing that there's probably a logging truck coming down. Oh, by the way, this road was 1 lane wide.
So hang on a second. So when you're in logging country, Canada, So
Yes.
there's a radio service for, I mean, obviously, like that's here in the US, that's an industrial mobile
Right.
license thing. So it's a specific thing for logging, and can anybody do it, or do you have to be like a
Yes.
logging company?
No, anybody can use it. In British
Really?
Columbia specifically. So there are allocated frequencies in the VHF spectrum, just above the 2-meter band, and they're called RR, or resource roads. And then they have, a dozen loading channels. And these RRs are geographically assigned to a particular zone or area. I didn't happen to have the map with me for that part of the East Kootenays where I was to know what frequency. If I had the map, I would have been able to shoot up the hill and go. But so yeah, it says you must use a commercial radio, like a type approved radio, but you don't need to pay for a license. In Alberta, that's different. It's just British Columbia has allowed it. So it varies by the province.
As a frequency nerd, I find that sort of stuff interesting, just to see like how do they do things in a place that's different than other parts of the world.
Yeah. So, anyway, I got to do some POTA, and I was going to go back out on Friday, and I got tied up doing a whole bunch of rally stuff on Friday. So there's still a number of parks out there for me that I've never activated that I can't wait to get back to. And some of them are walk-ons. One of the drive-ons, I found the exact spot to park my vehicle, and I was in the zone. And it was just awesome. And I had a beautiful view of this lake and all these mountains around me. And, I worked 10 or 15 contacts and moved on to the next one. It was great afternoon touring around Canal Flats and Fairmont and Invermere and Radium. The last park I got to was Dry Gulch Provincial Park. And I got there and I found an empty campsite at 20 minutes to, at 23:40 UTC, at 20 minutes to 6 local time. Well, I started calling out on 30 meters and it was slow. And after 6 or 7 minutes, I looked at my watch and went, oh crap, I got to hurry the heck up. I switched over to 20 meters. Takes a few minutes for spotting and for people to find me, but I snuck it in. My last contact came in at 23:59. I was able to smack the log button and get my 10 just as the UTC day expired. Because I was hungry. I did not want to wait till the next UTC day, even if it was a minute, to do another activation, right? So it all just snuck in at the last minute.
This is all CW with your KX2?
This was CW with my my FT857 in the truck.
Okay.
These were all drive-ups. I had my KX2 kit with me, and I was prepared to do some walk-ins. Indeed, one of those sites that I had to get to on the top of the logging road was going to be a walk-in, probably about 200 or 300 meters. And I had all my, I had my 10 Essentials backpack kit with me with my bear spray and all that. But I really just didn't have time. I'll have to just go back another day.
So when you're operating with the 857, how much power are you usually running?
50, 100 watts.
So
I just want to get it done.
Right.
Okay. Let me clarify that because that came out differently. You said, 50 or 100 watts.
Right.
Not,
I can't remember.
1500 watts.
No, 50 or 100.
Okay. Because
whiskeys.
it came out as 1500 watts.
That's
just
not
like a
what I
casual throw out, 1500 watts.
At Canada, the rules are different.
That's true. I mean, their legal limit is what, 2K? 2 kilowatts?
2250.
Yeah, when
But those
Ben's
are
down, it
metric
looks like a
watts. They're
Tesla
different.
coil.
Yeah.
Those are metric watts.
Metric watts.
Yeah, exactly. They're slightly smaller, so the number's bigger.
Right.
Oh, very good. Anything else, Vince?
No, that's it.
That's pretty good. Paul, how about you? What's up on the workbench?
Well, I picked up a couple of things at Xenia, and one of them was a little Ultra Pico keyer kit, which I just assembled. I've actually got two of these. One of them I'm going to mount, and it's permanently going to stay with my FT857. And then this one will be in the travel gizmo kit. This is because certain people are dragging me kicking and screaming back into CW, and I wanted a common, consistent keying interface, so I didn't have to struggle with the little weirdness of which radio I'm using. So this I will set up exactly the way I want it, and this will stay with my paddle, and this will go.
That really
So
makes a lot of sense, by the way, Paul, because you're right, especially just the variety of radios you have. I can tell you from having used those that they have their electronic keyers they have a different feel.
I've
And
watched a lot of
those,
some guys' videos.
yeah. And that Pico keyer is a really good one. The chip that's in there and the timing and everything's really, really good, really consistent, and you'll really enjoy using those.
One of the problems I've discovered is, so you get it all built and you put the battery in, and it makes the key does like K or something to say, hey, you did it right. And so then I look at the instructions, because there's a lot of options in one of these for a variety of different things beyond just keying speed and memories. So one of the first things I wanted to do was set it for iambic B, which is what I've always been used to. And here's the problem. For a device that I'm going to be using to relearn Morse code, the only way you can understand what menu you're in and what the value of that menu that you've just set is that it speaks Morse code to you.
That's right, it does.
But look how small it is, and it probably has the world's smallest microprocessor. And if it had a bigger microprocessor that it spoke 17 languages and 42 accents, the box would be 8 by 8 by 12 inches.
That's a very good point, Vince.
I get that, but the thing is, I'm supposed to understand the Morse code to set the menus for the thing that I'm learning Morse code on.
That's
So
what a visual chart is for.
What I actually did to cheat when I set this, because this one the other one I got from somebody else, I set it on the counter next to my iPhone with one of those Morse decoder apps, so it could at least tell me what the hell that menu I just went to, because I'm not quite there yet. So, but I have it set up, and I set a standard CQ and a POTUS CQ with my call, and that actually worked. So,
I can't remember, Paul, if you change the keyer speed, does it change those, the feedback, the CW feedback? For the menus.
For the menus? Oh, I don't know. I think the menus might speak at a standard speed.
Okay.
But it does change the playback of the memories.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so it's kind of like a catch-22. Here's the thing you're going to use to learn Morse code, and you have to understand Morse code to set it up. So it's like, all right.
Is that bad UI design, or do you think this is actually their intent to like get people?
Well, I think their intent is that this was bought by somebody who's really into Morse code and already knows it, and isn't gonna have a problem with the menus all being in Morse code.
So, Paul, the reason I mentioned that is I can't remember now. This has been ages ago. I think it was maybe a 10 Tech product or something that did the same thing. It had feedback in Morse code. Maybe it wasn't 10 Tech. Maybe it was some little QRP thing. I can't remember now. But it was giving me Morse code feedback in my early days of Morse code. And it was doing it at like 45 words a minute. It was so insanely fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, do they expect people to know this? And blah, 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 blah. And I found out that the feedback was tied to the actual keyer speed of the device. And I had not even looked at that yet because, like you, I was just kind of exploring the device. And that's the reason I asked. I've got to think of now what that was. But it was really funny. I was like, who knows code this? Oh my gosh, I'm never going to learn code, when I was listening to this. And I was like, oh, it's turned all the way up. That's why.
Yeah. Another thing, we were sitting there. Well, first off, we all were at 4 Days in May for the dealer night on Thursday, and Mark handed me a new toy. He brought me my QMX that he built for me. So I got my new toy, and now the cover fits over it, which is Vince, I think you might have sent me the link for this. I printed this because I can do that now, and that's fun. When you invert this, then it becomes an angled stand for it when you put it down on a table, which is convenient. But then I was thinking about, if I if I'm traveling somewhere and I maybe only have my random wire with me, then I'm going to need some sort of tuner. So I was talking to George about that, and I was looking at the little AT100 automatic tuner. And then George said, well, think about the little Z match because it's simple and doesn't need power. And I thought, well, that's good. So he said, yeah, they're on AliExpress. They're inexpensive. So I'm sitting there. I got Mark on one side. We're talking OHIS and stuff and stuff with people and the eggnogs and all that. And then on the other side is George talking pack tennis and everything's going on. There's a million people in the room. It's all noisy. Stupid me should not have used that moment to go buy the thing because there's like 52 different versions of this Z match from a bunch of different dealers. And I just thought, cool, $30. I'll just get this one and it'll be there when I get home. I did not see that I had bought the one that's a kit. So when I got it the other day and I opened up the box expecting my little Z match, there's a bag full of parts, including 2 toroids that I have to wind and no real instructions, just kind of like a schematic. And then kind of like a sort of a diagram for the big toroid. And it didn't really match the instructions because they had changed the circuit board and everything. So I'm sending photos to these guys saying, help. And so now I'm building my Z match, and
it's good for you.
Yeah,
it's good for you. Good
well,
for
here's the thing. So there's a second little toroid on there, which also is supposed to have a tap on it.
Yeah,
and
that's for the SWR meter.
Yeah, and apparently I wired that. I wound that a little too tight because I noticed that it had scraped some of the enamel off of the corners. So then there's that piece of wire gone. So now I've had to go on Amazon and get myself another spool of that gauge magnet wire. So I've almost doubled the cost of my Z match, which had I bought the one that was already assembled with all of the parts in place, I'd be done. I know. It's a learning experience.
But look at it this way, Paul. Think of all the toroids you'll be able to wind for people now.
Yeah, thanks. No, that's not good.
Yeah. I'm sending him all my toroids.
I'm going to send him all my toroids too.
No.
And Paul, I'm really curious, like, when that happens to me, like if I screw up something that I got in a kit, like a resistor, I'm missing something, don't you just go to Vlado's place to get a new one?
Well,
Who's
sure.
Vlado?
If I didn't have to drive 12
My
hours
buddy
to get
Vlado,
to
Mark.
Vlado's place.
Oh, my buddy Vlado. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I know.
see,
He only knows him as my buddy Vlado.
I don't have a buddy Vlado here. And
Oh,
would
I
have to
highly
drive
recommend.
all the way out to North Carolina. I realize everybody should have one,
Everybody should.
but I don't. So this is the scrap piece of magnet wire, and now I will start winding that one again. So I'm learning.
It could have been worse. The tuner could have the CW interface and tell you if it's tuned with Morse code.
Yeah,
true.
exactly. So
I have been known to splice magnet wire in cases like that. Just saying.
Yeah, I've got another spool now, so it's it's one of those learning experiences that will
Again,
make me a better
you can wind
ham.
all the toroids.
I was waiting
You
for
have
Paul
a
to
whole
say.
spool of wire. You're good to go.
I was kind of waiting for. Sorry, I was kind of waiting for Paul to say, I ordered the magnet wire and the wire came separate from the enamel. I have to put the enamel on myself.
Yeah, it's the wire kit. Yeah, there's a little jar of enamel, and you have to run the wire through it and let it dry. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
so that's my other project from Xenia. One of the things I've been working on is, because you guys are a bad influence.
You know what?
I was happy
You
with.
blame a lot of stuff on
Not
us.
us.
Yes, I do.
I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
So
I was just listening to the Randy episode as I was cutting the grass today. Yeah, we're a bad influence.
Yes. Yeah. So I was always content with the big suitcase full of all of my stuff for POTA plus the radio kit. And I've learned over time from you guys that having all your stuff in one big suitcase isn't necessarily the best thing. So I have been working on modularizing my stuff. So I have like the 2-pack tennas, and that coax is all in one little pouch. So I have the 20 with the 40-meter link and the random wire are all in the little pack tenna pouch. And so I'm getting there now where I've got 3 years now of POTA under my belt. So I'm also learning as I go. It's not all you guys, but you've kind of taught me to think differently about that. So I'm starting to realize as I do different types of activations, how it is better to not have to open up the big suitcase and dig through it to find everything. You know, what I need is in this bag and this radio.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I've been working on. And
all the stuff, you basically put all the things for an activation, including the radio, the cables, the whatever else, but only those things in a bag.
I still keep most of my trunk has got like pretty much all of my POTA antennas just in it, but it makes it way easier to look at a glance and say, hey, I need this, and take it out and not have to dig through everything. So that's a thing I'm doing. I did pick up at Xenia Bioenno was having a blowout on solar panels. They started out with an 80-watt panel and a charge controller and the cables to go with it for this price. And that was a killer deal. And I found out from my friends at my club over there, they said, did you go there? I'm like, no. So I ran right over there. They had sold out all of the 80-watt panels. So they were down to 60, which is still not bad. So I got the panel and the charge controller and the Y cable and stuff. So I am going to go out hopefully this weekend, set that up and learn how to get that configured to top off a battery. And because I've never had one of those. So that was,
cool.
that was a really good deal.
Pro tip, keep your battery in the shade while you're charging it.
That makes sense. Which brings up a thing, you know, that battery that I had for running my hotspot in the car as we go down worked great on the way down there. And I wasn't thinking when I parked on Friday and went into the booth and everything that I left that and up on top of the dash. They get pretty warm when you leave them in the sun, even though there's a solar panel on top of it. So I'm waiting to see if I've actually fried my little battery pack.
I noticed that I had a 5,000 milliamp hour battery pack. It had Eddie Bauer's name on it for what that matters. And I left it up on the dash and I went to pick it up. Oh, damn, this is hot.
Yeah.
This can't be good for the battery. So it seems like a really cool form factor to have a little tiny solar panel in there to charge it. But
the problem is you have to leave it in the sun and the sun makes heat.
Yep, that's exactly correct.
I may possibly have toasted that one, but it only cost me $10 at the local.
As long as it's not bulging.
It did a little bit. So that's why I have a feeling.
You have a spicy pillow, ditch it.
Yeah. So,
spicy pillow.
Agreed.
Oh, and one other thing is I have begun the old equipment purge to build up funding because somebody's have convinced me that I need to go out and get myself a KX2.
Again, blaming somebody else, although in this case that's fair because
I'm not
we have
blaming
talked
you. I'm saying I've been convinced that I need one.
Okay, now that you're convinced, don't forget, 1 is none, 2 is 1.
2 is 2.
No, don't start that.
Just saying.
The CFO has agreed to 1.
Ooh.
Fair enough.
Oh, a KH1. Perfect. So then we just have to get her used to 2.
Don't forget,
KX2,
I'm also going to be looking
3,
at one of them.
KX3.
I'm going to be looking at one of those fancy little antennas too. So I'm waiting to hear back from Thomas on the newer one before I decide which one of those. I have a feeling that when I plug it in and use it, it's not going to work anywhere near as well because it's not Thomas using it.
Paul, I suggest you just get a fork and jam it in your leg. You'll have about the same experience that I do with mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, we'll tell that story when it becomes your workbench?
Probably.
Yeah.
What happens, George, what would happen if we go out with one of those and call CQ as Thomas? Would that help?
Oh, if it was Thomas's call, we'd make like 20 contacts. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I might try that the first time I get one.
Well, that's because internationally desirable call sign, K4SWL, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Tracks them like flies. Whereas my call is fairly repellent because I can't make a single contact with one of those antennas.
I'm not going to lie, KJ6VU is a terrible call sign for Morse code.
Oh, contraire. I
Da
think
da
it's
da
pretty
da
good.
da 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 da.
Hey, it's better than my old calls, so I'm sticking with it for now.
It
Which was your
sounds
old call?
Well, my original call way back when it was not A. I know what some of you are thinking. My original call was WN6CMM. That's an all well, that's a terrible sideband call. It's
Charlie Mike November?
Charlie Mike Mike.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
so
yeah.
that's terrible. Then my call for many years was WA6YPS, Yankee Papa Sierra, which
Okay.
is kind of terrible on CW.
Yeah.
And so KJ6VU not bad. So I'm sticking with that.
Yeah. For to me, J is just such a avoidable letter because I was KD6JTS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Q. I mean, it's an unfortunate letter, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay.
anyway,
All right.
Paul,
Um,
anything else?
oh, wait, yeah, real quick. I'm writing up a
Not me this time.
no,
Go on.
it's not you this time. I'm writing up an article on an activation I did where afterwards my wife and I went down to this cool little restaurant we knew that was in that area, and they had somehow found boxes of these little metal kits.
Mm.
They're stamped and laser etched metal kits that you cut out the pieces and then you have to fold. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fold and roll. And so I'm looking at them and going, well, these look kind of cool. I've never built one before, but so I picked up a couple of them and then I went because you got a hobby, you need tools. And fortunately, I looked online. The toolkit to do these is like $25. So I just got the toolkit.
You got
so
two of them.
So I'm going to try building one of these.
I think those are
Totally
resonant
unrelated
on
to
UH
ham radio, but
they're resonant on UHF. It's about the right size. Just saying.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little SMA on the back.
Yeah, be
Yeah.
fine.
All right.
So before we move on, I would like to tell you all that I have just registered QROer.com.
All right.
So now we got to come up with something to do for it.
Okay.
I think we should do a parody site of QRP.com.
Well, here's what I
About
want
the
to see.
challenges of operating high power.
Yeah, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
I want to see Flex come up with a 100-watt radio the size of a KX3. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Do that whole Aurora thing with a KX3 size radio that does 100 watts.
One that has its own SIM card, and you can just take it to a park and like attach it underneath a picnic table and walk away and go back home and activate your park, right?
That's right.
Activate your park. I just want to come back and see what it worked.
Oh, FT8. Got it. Okay. Well, if it's got a SIM card in it, then it's already uploading to your
Oh, that's
online
correct.
blog anyway. So you'll be
Exactly.
able to figure that out from anywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, Thomas, how about you? What's on the bench?
Well, so nothing on the bench proper. Have I built anything? I don't think I've actually had to build anything. I've had to repair a couple of things around the house, but that's about
Do you
it.
have a bench?
I have a small bench right now. I do. It's a transitional bench.
Mark, Murphy bench question?
Yeah, I was going to say, does it fold up against the wall?
Not
Anyway.
yet. It will. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. When the day it happens, we're going to have a party here at the house.
Yeah.
So I've been out, like after I got back from Hamvention, did quite a few activations there and things, and I came back and really was eager to try out my Modern Moors paddle, my new key. I had one. I think we talked about this when Aaron was on the show, and I had one as a color I didn't really care too much for, and never really used it. And he very, very kindly made me one that I love, which is sort of this green-yellow combination. Looks very World War II, sort of like bomber stuff, and it's wonderful. And I took it out to the field, and I've had some really interesting activations. The first one was on the way to pick up my daughter at the airport in Charlotte, and I was like, she can wait there in baggage claim for a while. And so I stopped and I stopped and did
Dad
a
of the
photo
Year
activation.
award.
No, actually, I purposely was running a little ahead of time so I could fit this in, right? And it was a rainy day, and I went out, had a great activation with it though, and kind of got to know the key a little bit better. The following day, I was like, "Ooh, I think I'm going to fit in another activation." I had to go into Asheville, and I thought like little rain clouds, little just like intense rain clouds coming around. Oh, by the way, Mark, clouds are these things up in the skies that sometimes release moisture.
What?
Yes, yes, you'll have to come and see it sometime to believe it. But
Wow. Moisture falls out of the sky? How does that happen?
there's this time of year in North Carolina, a lot of the southeast, we get pop-up thunderstorms, and I looked on the radar. It looked pretty good, but there was definitely a little, there's some little clouds around. And I thought, I'm just going to go over to the Zebulon Vance birthplace site. It's a great site to activate anyway, but they've got a really nice picnic shelter there. And if it rains, I'll be fine. So I go there. And I think I even started a video. I think I did a video of this one. And I pulled out the FT818, my MC750 vertical. I put it up. I think I set it to 20 meters and started calling CQ, immediately got somebody back, worked them. And then this massive clap of thunder happened like right next to me. And I mean, like it was one of those things where you saw the flash from the lightning and the thunder was like almost immediately after it out of nowhere. Because these pop-up thunderstorms will just happen. They'll just show up. And so I immediately just grabbed the antenna, pulled it out of the ground, collapsed it. Just torrential rain came down. I just jumped in my car and just waited it out. I waited for the thunderstorm to pass because it was a really small one. And then I finished off the activation with my AX3 and my KX2. And it worked out just fine. But I was like, I'm just going to pull all this stuff down. If another one pops up on me, it's a lot easier to take down an AX3 than the MC750. But all in all, I've really enjoyed using this modern Morse key. It's a great one. So if you're listening here, I really like it. I'm spending a lot of time right now kind of prepping for the trip. We're going to the UK this summer for quite a while, and I'm thinking through, which I kind of like doing this, by the way. I like thinking through packing up radios and stuff and what to take and not taking too many things, but taking enough stuff that I've got some variety when I'm out. I lived in the UK a long time. I know what parks are like there. I know what summits are like in different parts of the UK for the most part. I know what to expect, which is in a lot of the ones, especially in Scotland, I'm not going to be expecting trees on anything. And so I'm going to take like a carbon fiber mast with me, my POTA 20 Explorer mast. I'm taking a couple different spike options for it. I'm taking a 4-to-1 random wire antenna with a 17-foot radiator, and I think it's like a 7-foot counterpoise. It's really, really small. But both magically my KH1 and my KX2, which are the two radios I'm taking with me, both of them can match it with their internal antenna tuners from 40 meters and up, which is really nice. Even though it's really, really compromised on 40 meters. I will be spending a fair amount of time on 40 meters in Europe, when I'm out there, and 30 meters probably. And I'll do some 20 and some higher, of course. I've got a 9-to-1 in-fed random wire. I've got a 49-to-1 in-fed half wave, my 30-meter one with the 40-meter link extension, which gives me basically all band coverage from 40 meters up to 10 meters, save 12 meters. 12 meters is the only one it won't cover. And then I'm probably taking with me a prototype AX4 from Elecraft. I think I'm going to be able to get it in time. It'll be a prototype. It's not going to be a production model, and I'm going to give it a nice go. It's an antenna that it doesn't really fit in my QRP stuff well, because it's really designed for people who are running 50 to 100 watts, 50 CW up to 100 watt single sideband. But the really cool thing about it is
I was surprised at how large it was.
It's beefier than any of the other antennas they've made, but it's because it's dissipating more heat.
Yeah.
It also covers the 40-meter band natively, which is really cool.
Okay.
And it has an 8-foot whip on it. So it's double the size of the whip. So there's a little bit better gain there. And I really like it. I know me, and I tend to go for the lightest weight, smallest stuff. But in Europe, this will give me a low profile, low impact way to do 40 meters with a vertical. And I'm just looking forward to playing with it anyway. And I'll probably sit here and eat my words and buy one anyway. So who knows? That's what always happens with Elecraft.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear your thoughts on it, because I was thinking of an AX3, but then when I saw that, it's like, well, I can use that with my G90 and
you can.
the other stuff. So it's going to be more, but maybe it's worth it.
and it's still really portable. Like it'll fit in any backpack that you have.
Yeah.
Wayne really puts a lot of thought into that.
Can you describe it?
So it has a like the AX3. It looks like a little beefier AX3, and the AX3 has like a base that is 3D printed with a really nice material. And inside it has all of the coils and everything. So to switch bands, there's a plug that you pull out and you change the orientation of the plug and it gives you different bands that it covers. And the AX4 has a different type of plug system. It has a plug system. So there's no taps that you're doing on a coil or anything like that. There's no little like switch that's fiddly that you're not sure if it's in the right position. This is very, very deliberate. You know where you are. It's easy to switch. It's very beefy. It has, what's really cool is Wayne actually made a little window so you can see all of the toroids and everything in it. And it looks really nice, actually. It kind of gives it a really nice look. And the base is just beefier. It's beefier and larger than the AX3 if you have an AX3 antenna. And of course, the whip being 8 foot long, the sections are a little bit longer. So everything's just a little taller. But it has to be still one of the smallest kind of production verticals that you can buy. And when you collapse everything down, it's still really small and lightweight for what it does. It has a built-in clamp in the base, which is kind of cool. Instead of having some separate thing that you mount on the bottom, it has the standard receiver or mount for like a camera mount. That I always forget that.
Quarter 20.
That's it, quarter 20. As a quarter 20 mount. So you can put that on pretty much anything that you want to. But he actually built in a clamp so that you can clamp it to a picnic table or a park bench or whatever. And it has a really wide aperture. So if you go to one of those beefier park picnic tables, it'll fit that.
How big a diameter is the coil assembly?
I don't know.
I mean, is it like 1.5 inches or is it like 4 inches? I mean, is it
no? It's like what, 1.5 inches? You think?
Yeah, because I looked at it at the booth. Yeah, about 1.5 inches, roughly the smaller size of a normal flashlight.
Yeah,
wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so and probably a little bit longer than an AX3, so like 6-8 inches.
Slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like hugely bigger.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's a little heavier, but not like crazy heavy either. You're not going to attach it to your KX2 and use it as like like a pedestrian mobile thing, right? It's not that lightweight.
Does it have a little tripod thing built in like the AX3, or is it just the clamp?
It just has the clamp, and then he's assuming, and I actually think this is a pretty good assumption, with this size of antenna having a little bit more wind profile and stuff, that you use like one of the there's so many of these little carbon fiber and aluminum tripods that work really well. There are a bunch now that you can buy on the market. Paul's pulling up one. I've actually got one here next to me too that's made by Chameleon. There are a bunch that you can use to attach it to. Exactly. That's exactly right. And so I'm looking forward to, if it gets to me in time, I'm looking forward to taking it with me and throwing it in the pack. And it's really fun just putting together all the pieces of the kit. I did somehow walk away from Hamvention with 3 different keys, and I've got to decide what I'm taking with me, because I've got the nameless key that I was just talking about, the modern Morse key. I also, my buddy Scott, VA3EKR, who's one of our listeners, very kindly was my parcel reception service for my Key TP3, which I ordered last year. Marcus, who was the amazing fellow behind Tech and all those products, he passed away very suddenly in, I think it was August. His family had some inventory left of things that they were able to finish off making and put them up for sale, and I immediately bought one. I just wanted to do it. And it was a few months before they shipped, and they shipped it to my buddy Scott in Ontario. And he just brought it with him to Hamvention. He gave it to me, and it's a gorgeous little key. I mean, I've got one TP3 already, but this one is a different color scheme, and it's just really nice. I hadn't seen another one quite like it, and so I'm very pleased with it. So I'll either take that one or I'll take the nameless key. I'm not sure which. I'm not going to take both though, because that's like $400 worth of keys. I'm going to be making my baggage
Yeah.
that much more expensive, and then I'll cry if something happens to both of them. Um,
So
so
is my buddy Scott related in any way to my buddy Vlado
well, they know each other. We
of
have
the
done a soda
northern my
activation
buddies?
all together, so they're tied together as buddies.
Okay.
It's part of a group of Thomas's my buddies. They have membership cards,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and they get together and they have online meetings.
you should hear what I call you guys when I'm talking to other people.
Oh,
I bet you it's not my buddy.
Not quite. No.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm thinking about, along with the trip, are batteries. And the cool thing about the KX2 is I put in the USB-C charging board on it now. So
Right.
I don't really need anything special for it. I just need a USB-C charging block or whatever. The KH1 has a charging board built into it from Elecraft, and I've actually, Paul and I both discovered, he told me about this, and then the fellow at Werewolf that makes the USB-C trigger cables, which are just so freaking amazing,
Yeah.
with the barrel connectors and everything. There's maybe Paul mentioned this I can't remember if this is in the last episode or we were just talking about it in person.
This
Probably
is a
just in
different
person.
Paul.
No, it's this Paul. You went to the table and he showed you.
Oh,
he
no,
showed
that's a
me.
different Paul than me, just so everybody knows.
There's no way it's a different Paul than you. Um, so basically, Paul was like, "Oh, you got to go talk to him, and he'll show you how you can do the
Oh,
scanning feature."
That was me.
Yeah, of the PD. I told you it was, and
It's like talking to your grandfather sometimes.
Well,
George, we say the same thing
we've been
about you.
talking
I know.
different Pauls. I'm sorry.
and so anyway, you can actually do a scan feature of a PD power supply or battery, and you don't have to do those chunks of voltage like 5, 9, 12, 15, 20. If is it called PPS, I think is the name of the protocol. If it has that built into the PD supply, you can do like 14.7 volts if you
Yeah.
wanted to. And you can set up a cable so that's what it'll deliver from that power bank. But anyway, the KH1 will accept up to 15 volts as a charging, voltage, which is kind of cool. So then you just need like a PD cable, a USB-C cable that you can plug in, and then you can charge your KH1 without any special separate battery chargers or anything like that.
Yeah,
And so I'm
Right.
go ahead.
Real quick, little side thing for the Werewolf Ultra or VFlex cable thing that we've been talking about.
Mhm.
What Thomas is mentioning is that I went over and talked to the guy, and I bought a few more things because I'm there and there's stuff. The little module, because I wanted to learn, because at first I was thinking it was like kind of like a little voltage regulator. Then I started to understand how it works. It's a trigger. It tells the power bank what to supply. And if you don't know what your power bank can supply, you plug this little thing into your phone and you open up the app and you put it into scan mode, unplug it, plug it into your power bank, give it a second. It talks to the power bank and says, "Hey, what can you do?" Then you unplug it, put it back in the phone, open up the app, and then it will report what your power bank is capable of supplying. And then you put your adapter cable in and you program it to supply what you need. So yeah.
It's
By the way, I
really
do-
amazing.
I want to mention, because people are going to be looking at the show notes right now, like, okay, what is this Werewolf company?
We'll put it in
Werewolf?
there.
I know, but I'm just going to say here,
Thank you.
so that people will not have to actually look at it. It's WEREWOLF.US. So
Yep.
it's Werewolf, not
Yeah,
Werewolf.
it really is Werewolf. And it's I gotta say, I like the quality, I like how well they work. And like on this trip, I can kind of take it with me. And if I change my mind about what I want to do with the cord, I can just reprogram that cord to be what I want it to be, the trigger I want it to be, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I
so
used
that
one. I used one there, Thomas. You were working behind me. I used the
Mhm.
one with the barrel connector that fits the QMX. So I was powering it off of my USB battery bank with
Yeah.
that cable.
It's really cool. It's just a really neat system. I'll say just a few more things here, since I normally don't take up a lot of time. Actually, I do. So another thing I've been trying to do is program my VX3 radios that I have. I have these little small HTs that Yaesu produced one time. I love these. We've had them in our family forever because we're all licensed. We use these when we travel. And so I'm taking them along so that we can use them as a family when we're like in a town somewhere in the UK and we don't all have cell phone service. We can just kind of keep in touch with each other pretty easily if we're not that far apart. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go in and actually program these things with my RT system software. And I had problems with it for some reason. Using the Mac version, I had problems with a cable. I got a different cable. But finally, I got the thing to work today, and I was super happy about it. And then I wanted to program my Kenwood THD75. Now, this made me like go back on things I said before in the past. So I bought this radio before Christmas. I think it was when DX Engineering had like a Black Friday sale or something, and I got it. I was going to get it or the ID 51A, I think, and I bought both because I couldn't decide. So I got both of them. And I told myself when the 75 came out and when the 74 came out, I was like, that's just way too much to spend for an HT. Nobody needs to spend that kind of money on an HT. And I got this, and I'm really eating my words because this radio continues to make me like it more and more the more I use it. It does things, it's so easy to program. Like I can program into my memory bank so incredibly easily. Like it in the field or whatever, it's easy to remember. It's easy to get your muscle memory for it, even when you don't use it very often. It's very intuitive. But today I used RT System software, which I don't use a cable for the D75. I just use a micro SD card instead of using a cable to transfer. And with the RT System software, I can connect to my Repeater Book Plus account. And I can basically tell it a path that I'm going to take, like a driving, all the places I'm going to drive in the UK, and tell it how wide I want the coverage to be from the route, like how many repeaters do you want it to be within 10 miles of your route, 20 miles of your route. I said 50 because I wanted to like really open it up and cover all the areas I was going to. And it'll basically completely load up everything and give you all the memories for it and make you a memory bank.
Sweet.
And I also had to change our simplex frequencies because in the UK, they do not have the same 2-meter coverage we do. And you can't just like walk over there and use simplex frequencies you use here. Our family simplex frequency is well outside what you can use there. So I went in, double checked those things, put in our simplex frequencies for each other. I put in the national calling frequencies for 2 meters and 70 centimeters and loaded in D-Star and everything else. The cool thing, and I ended up having to call RT Systems because, and they've got great support. I had to call them because I just couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And it all had to do with dumping the memories off of my radio onto the SD card before I put it into the system because their system wants to be able to pull from the radio first. And, but what I learned when I created the file to put back on the SD card is that on the D75, I can keep a whole memory set for the United States, for like North Carolina, where I'm traveling most of the time, and I can keep a whole set for the UK. And you can just go into the SD card and reload the one that you want. So it's like switching SIM cards between countries. And it's freaking fascinating. Like, why don't all HTs allow this? It is just so good. Like, it makes it easy. I can just land there and switch over to a different file on my SD card, and all of a sudden, it's all ready to go. You know,
Nice.
That's loading the file from the SD card that's in the radio into the flash memory of the radio itself. So, right.
Exactly.
That's what you're talking about. So it's like paging different groups of channels in.
Yep.
Different zones, almost, you might call
Zones.
it.
Yeah.
It's really, really amazing. I love it. And I really love this radio, I gotta say.
Have you tried using the Bluetooth with a headset?
I haven't yet. Yeah,
I'm curious if you find a good one. I have not. So I'd like to know if you do find a good headset to work with it.
Yeah, the ones I tend to use are like my Apple AirPods, and they don't have the right Bluetooth for this. But I do have like a little dongle thing that, was it Vince or you or somebody told me about? No, I think it was Joshua N5FY that told me about this for doing cat control with the radio. for different things if you want to do it. But the only other extra thing I want to talk about real quick, and this won't take long because I'm going to talk about packs. I did I did have the main reason that we're going on this trip, if I'm between us, okay, has nothing to do with seeing friends we haven't seen in a long time or traveling the country. It's allowing me to go pick up a pack I've always wanted to get. There's a company called Savotta in Finland, and those of our listeners who live in Europe, especially, probably know that pack. It's a really good one, and they're made in Finland. They've got a really good warranty, good guarantee, really, really loyal fan base and everything, and really well-designed packs. Very nice packs. They do not ship to the U.S. under any circumstances. In fact, they don't ship outside the EU really, but you can get them in the U.K. through distributors. And very kindly, a friend and listener of the show, who lives in the Edinburgh area where we're going to land, he actually took delivery of this for me. So I ordered one of the packs and sent it to him. And then I wanted some more accessories and things from the Savotta company. But in the UK, you're paying like, I don't know, an extra 25% or something when you're buying through a distributor in the UK because of the taxes and import and blah, blah, blah. So I ordered some stuff directly from Savotta and sent it to my buddy Vlado, who is actually in Europe right now. With his daughter, and they're visiting friends and stuff. So he picked up the rest of the stuff. So the cool thing is I'm not actually having to take a soda pack with me or a soda Poda pack with me, because that's going to be there waiting for me to be my soda Poda pack when I get there. And I'm really looking forward to
How do you
trying
spell
it out.
that company name?
It's spelled Savotta is the name of the company, Savotta. And the pack I'm getting, I think is spelled Niukka, I believe. It's Finnish. And as my so, one time I wrote an article, a radio article, and some Finnish friends said, "Do you mind if we put this in our newsletter for our club?" And I said, "No." He said, "We'll have to translate it, or as we say in Finland, encrypt it."
It's about right.
Because it is encrypted. You just can't read. It's impossible to read that. But
Well, Finnish is very much like Hungarian, and so yeah, it ain't obvious unless you know the lingo.
Hey,
That's
Mark,
right.
I'm wondering if there's a system in place for you to check out one of the people in the My Buddy network, like you do a library book.
Mm.
I mean, if you needed to borrow My Buddy Vlado for something, could you just do that?
That's a good question. Yeah, so like in your case, if you needed that extra resistor that Thomas was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
because he used my buddy Vlado as a resource for getting that component that was missing.
Correct.
Yeah, so we need a My Buddy library system.
With a list
Lending
and
library.
a thing online, you just check out whichever buddy you need.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, thanks.
I recommend my buddy Scott for any import issues that you may have here in North America.
All right.
Okay.
Very good service. Two thumbs up. Two thumbs down.
2 thumbs down.
Yeah.
2 thumbs down.
So something to realize for you listeners, this group has watched the Project Hail Mary movie and has started communicating in Iridian in our text messages. So instead of giving a thumbs up, they'll be giving the thumbs down because Rocky never figured out up or down, although that's only in the movie, not in the book. And, you know,
it is required viewing.
Statement and ending that statement with the word question.
Yeah.
Things like that.
We do that a lot because we're nerds that way.
Because we're nerds that way.
We're not nerds, you're nerds. Oh, wait, no, that's okay. We are nerds.
We are nerds.
Back to the backpack discussion, nerds.
Yes.
Why?
So what's the model name of the backpack you're
It's
getting?
the I think it's Niukka. Let me look it up here real quick. And I think it's a 20-liter pack. It looks so if you're familiar with the GoRuck GR1, which by the way is like $40,000 now. They're really, really expensive. It's a very similar, just kind of a basic backpack like that. I wouldn't call it clamshell because the zipper is on the front like cover of it, but it opens like clamshell, which I really like. My GR1, that's like one of my favorite features for a field radio backpack is I get to the field, I throw it on a park bench on top of a table, in the car, wherever. I can zip open the top and flip the whole thing open. You see all the contents at once. And you can, in that modular packing way, when you put all the small packs in and everything's there laid out. And you can visually know when something's missing too when you do that, as opposed to having like a top loading backpack where you're kind of reaching into like a bag to grab things and there's mystery meat in there, right? Like this is nice and easy to organize. And so this pack's slightly smaller than, it's just a liter smaller than my GR1. But I really love the low profile look of it. And they have a really cool system for, they have almost a modular system with all of their packs. So like their waist packs, they have like 3 different size waist packs. They all very easily attach to any of their backpacks pretty much. Using clips and things, they thought all that through in advance. It's easy to pull off the shoulder straps on most of their bags. It's just really intelligently done, and they really nice, simple design. I'm really looking forward to getting that. I mean, I'd say it's the whole reason for the trip. My family has no idea. They think we're doing it for family reasons, but it's to get this backpack.
What they don't know won't hurt them.
No.
Well, yeah, actually, I was looking at the prices. The prices are not too bad as things like this go. Although I
Well,
did not see
George,
the model you're talking about. Yes.
I was going to say that what you probably should do, this is the model I texted you the other day when we were talking over All-Star. Um, you're going to Germany. If you've got any friends that live anywhere
Yeah.
near
Yeah.
Friedrichshafen or anywhere you're going, I'm here to tell you, like, it's a good deal. I think that's a good price. They're like 200 euros for that pack. And that may sound like a lot to some people, but that's incredible for handmade, like small production run packs
Those aren't
that are
people
really
we
high
talk to.
quality. Yeah.
Well, a lot of stuff like that I found if you go with a really well-made bag, you'll use it for, a decade. You use it for a long time. But I bought some really cheap, like Chinese backpacks, which when you get them, you go, well, it was like fraction of the price, but it's not the same material all that. The zippers aren't the same and so forth. So, there's kind of a difference, but it just depends what you're looking for. I didn't see the particular model, but I'll have to go back and do a little
Yeah.
research.
I'll make sure it's in the show notes. I'm looking at right now. It's called the Niukka 20 liter. I probably butchered the finish there, but
Yes.
it is a really clean, really nice looking pack that comes in like 3 different colors. But here's my thing about packs. Besides the fact I love packs, I feel like when you buy radio gear, and even if you have like lower end gear, like you're not buying top tier gear, you still have a lot of invested in it. And if you're doing things like SOTA, where you're going to hike for maybe an hour or 2 to get to a summit and do an activation, I promise you the thing you do not want to happen is have a zipper fail you in the field, because it's hard to hold together a backpack when the zipper fails. And I just find it's worth investing once in a really good bag that you can just absolutely abuse and it sticks together. This Go Ruck pack, I have taken it out, like it has been opened and closed and taken to like a bazillion different places. I've had it maybe 8 years now, and it looks a little just like it's been used, but in a good way. Nothing's failing on it, nothing like that. I don't worry about the zippers. I don't worry about anything. And it'll be the same for this pack. And Red Ox packs too, man. The zippers on those they use like number 10 YKK Vislon zippers. And you can even, though I've never had to do this because they're just so durable, you can even field repair those. And you just won't find that in some cheap backpack that you find online at a retailer or AliExpress or something.
Well, some of the manufacturers also have an unlimited warranty. Like I don't know if this is still
hmm
the case, but I know I had bought a Mystery Ranch. In fact, I got 2 Mystery
Yeah.
Ranch backpacks, and while I was researching it, one thing I found out was that at least at the time they had kind of an unconditional warranty, where
hmm
if you're the original owner and something goes wrong with it, you send it back to them, they'll fix it or replace it. And they sort of joke a little bit about it. They had like they make besides for consumers, they also make backpacks for like fire,
Yep.
like wilderness firefighters and
hmm
this like really intense kind of industrial use. And they've had like firefighters send back their field backpacks, and they're like ripped up and all burned up, and they're
Mhm.
like, well, we're either going to fix it or replace it. And so I don't know if they still do that, but I mean, the bags are like no joke expensive, but they really stand behind them too. So
Yep.
there
And
is that.
I can tell you that we both have Red Ox packs. They have the best guarantee I know of anyone, in that they call it a no bull warranty, and their packs are not cheap, but you can even buy a used one. And their whole policy is we don't need a receipt. We know what our bags look like. And you could have you could literally have a train like run over one of their packs, and you send it to them, and they'll either fix it or replace it each and every time for free. They're really amazing, and I even saw in one of their social media posts like a while back. They're like, hey, there are a few of these on eBay right now. If you buy it used, we treat it just like you bought it from us.
Mm.
In terms of the warranty. And that's the reason why on eBay, the price is like 3% lower than new.
Uh,
It's, you don't really get a good deal on them.
Yeah, they have good resale.
Yep.
Okie doke. Anything else on the bench?
That is it.
Hey, George.
Yes,
I'm
Paul?
just curious. What's on your workbench?
Well, gosh, Paul, I would love to tell you, but we're out of time. Actually, I have like so many things on my bench. So I will go through this kind of quick. Let's see if that happens. So I'm gonna. I'm
won't.
Thank you, buddy. I'm going to continue to channel Thomas because I'm sorting my stuff also for a trip coming up and trying to figure out what to take. And I settled in on the thing to take is my KX2 and a Pac-10 to random wire and the AX3 antenna. And I'm down to 2 paddles. I'm not sure which paddle's going to go, but it's getting close. And that seems like the best bang for the weight and the volume. So that's the kit that's going to go. But I have a bunch of radios that I'm going to sell. So I've accumulated a bunch of radios that I'm just not using, and I'm going to get rid of. And why get rid of them? You might say. Well, it's like too many things sitting around, and I feel guilty not using them. So I want to sell them and probably just sit on the money until something exciting comes along, which, by the way, could be the new ICOM X026. So we saw a plastic box at Hamvention, actually 2 plastic boxes and a cord.
Right.
So based on that, I know exactly what the product's going to be.
Of course.
So I'm going to extrapolate from 2 vague data points.
Did the plastic box at least have a sticker that looked like a screen?
No.
It just had like a shiny square.
It was
black
a shiny square.
that where
A
the
shiny
screen
black
would be,
square,
but there
got
wasn't
it.
even a
Okay.
fake sticker thing on it.
Okay.
No, not even. And
Super informative.
And the ICOM guys were like, we don't know. Now, if you just look at the 2 plastic boxes and you look at the ICOM product line, I think it's pretty obvious the X26 is going to be a replacement for the ICOM 7100, which is a HF 100 watt plus 2 meters plus UHF mobile radio with a separate control head. Because I think that radio is now discontinued. It's certainly 12, 15 years old. So if it isn't, it's pretty close to being discontinued. So that's an obvious replacement. So my wild guess, and I have no knowledge, so this is just a speculation, is that that's what it's going to be because the size of the boxes that they showed at Hamvention. And I think the control head is going to be very much like an ICOM 705 split in half, like vertically. So it'll look like a 705, but it'll be tethered to a box that's got the actual RF deck. So that's my bet. And if that's the case, I'm definitely going to get in line for the first one that comes off the boat. So I really would love to have that. So anyway, I've got a bunch of stuff to sell. I've got a FTX1 Optima that's going to get sold brand new in the box. I have an ICOM 7100 with a tuner that's all kitted out in a portable transit case that's ready to go. I've got a G90 that's got to go, an FT5 handy talkie, a ICOM ID51 handy talkie, and a bunch of Motorola DMR handy talkies. So all that stuff is going to CPAC. I hope none of it comes back with me, but we'll see how it goes. So if anybody listening to this has any interest in any of these things, I may still have them by the time the show drops.
Hey, George, based
yes.
on the little show notes here, unless you typoed, if the price you put on that FTX one is what you're actually going to sell it for,
I don't think
I'll take it now.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know where somebody, not me, typed that in.
Damn.
So sorry about that.
I don't know how that could have happened.
Someone asked, I mentioned this to someone, and they said, how do you have an FTX One Optima new in the box? So it's not just new in the box. I've never opened the box. And there's a story that goes with it. And it's kind of an embarrassing story, but it boils down to I ordered one when they were first announced. And then about a month after I ordered it, I thought, oh man, I got to order one of those things. And so I ordered one of them.
Oh no.
And then
Oops.
Then the radio showed up, and that was great. And I played with the radio for a while. And then a couple weeks later, another one showed up. So I don't know how that happened.
Oh.
So anyway, I sold the first one, and then I hung on to the second one, thinking, well, I might have a bout of buyer's remorse or seller's remorse, and that didn't happen.
Nope.
So
Whoever gets that opportunity, right?
So I kind of timed out, and I figured, okay, now's the time to sell it, because that radio does not spark joy for me, and it will for somebody else.
Yeah,
And
great job selling it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the radio. Maybe you'd like to buy it.
Yeah.
So there you go. No, I mean, it's, electrically, it's great. It's a perfectly fine radio. It works. No, I have no complaints about the radio really, except, sometimes you sit down and you play with 2 or 3 radios and you kind of go, I like the second one best. And, was it a better receiver? Not really. Was it, was there anything really, truly better about it? Not really, but just the feel of the radio I didn't care for.
My experience, the Yaesu makes the radio itself is fantastic. Like their RF sections are really good, really rugged. Their UI is not my cup of tea, right? And I think the Optima kind of fell into that category as well.
Yeah, in fact, I would say like the idea of you have this ICOM 705-ish QRP radio,
Yeah,
and then you have the 100-watt amp tuner that you snap together is exactly the right idea.
yeah,
I don't think their cabling was done well, but the idea was the right idea.
yeah. I agree.
I just don't think their execution was quite what it could have been.
Yeah, and I think at the end it also turned into a product a lot larger than the FT891, which I kind of, in my head, I was thinking this is like a legacy of the 818 series radios, 818, 817. And so I was thinking that it'll be like maybe 891 size, or maybe a little bit bigger than that, because you could tell the screen and everything. But I thought maybe the RF deck, and everything would just be a little more compact than it was. But it overall was just substantially bigger. And when I saw the size of it myself, I was like, I bet you it performs really, really well, but I just don't see myself using it. And so I canceled my order when I saw it.
That was kind of my conclusion after playing with it for a couple of months. And there's little things I wasn't wild about. Here, I'm really unselling it. Like, for example, on the ICOM 7300, 705, I love the displays on those radios, because when you look at the spectral display, you can make a very nice line that is the amplitude in the spectral display.
Mm-hmm.
On the Yaesu, it's kind of like a bunch of samples, like it looks like grass, like in a spectrum analyzer, and it's really bouncing around a whole lot, and there's no way to turn that into a line.
Yeah,
and I just found that irritating.
3D.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah,
that was.
That's not what you're talking about.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The 3D thing was like one of those novelties where you kind of go, wow, that's cool. I'll never use that.
Yeah,
but it was kind of cool once. But their spectral display is just like spikes, and the rate that it refreshes is so fast, it's like jittery.
Oh, so there's no hold on it, is what you're saying?
There's
no decay.
There's no. Exactly. And the better ones, like on the Elecraft, for example, their spectral display, even on like the PX3 or the P3, you can set that delay time so it's not quite so jittery.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a peak hold, but because you can vary it. You can change the averaging rate. And that's really nice. Just like with the Flex, for example, the other thing I love about that is you can also change the dimensions vertically more dynamically than you can some of these other ones. Anyway,
I'll bet you that was an option somewhere buried in a menu somewhere.
Yeah, man, I looked. I looked and looked, and I got on the web and I tried to find it, and I asked people who I thought would know, and if it's in there, I couldn't find it. So, but that's like saying I don't like the Elecraft because the knobs are wiggly. Well, the knobs are wiggly, but it's a really fine radio.
Yeah.
So if wiggly knobs completely freaks you out, then you shouldn't buy an Elecraft. But if you want a fabulous CW experience, you should probably buy one. So it depends on what you're looking for. So for me, as typical of the Asus, like you're saying, Mark, the electronics were great. The physical mechanics felt really solid.
Yeah.
But the UI was just like not my cup of tea. So anyway, that's on the block. And I love my 7100, but I'm hoping that X26 will replace it, so that's going, and a G90 and some other stuff. So anyway, that's hopefully going to get sold. So the other cool things, I at Hamvention. One of the products that I announced was called Argus. Argus is a project that we worked on with Repeater Book, and the idea was to make a small microcontroller sensor thing that could instrument your repeater or a receiver, and as it monitors repeater activity, it would automatically log that activity to the Repeater Book website database. And so you can see what the key up activity and the duration of transmission would be. So you can see like which repeaters are active in your area. So we had a bunch of those got sold, and people are wiring them into their repeaters. So that's pretty cool. Another thing I was playing with recently, I know, Mark, you've done some work on this, is with the Espressif microcontrollers, they have this Wi-Fi communication mode called ESP now, and I know you've used that in some products. I've not used it before, and I wanted to make a little wireless bridge for the station controller where you can have, let's say, your Node-RED dashboard running on a Raspberry Pi and a GPIO module, and maybe across the room somewhere else you have another antenna control module. Normally you would cable them together, and so that's really easy to do. We also have 900 megahertz data radios that let you link them together. Well, another way to do that is to use an ESP processor and use 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi hardware to make the connection point-to-point between the two devices. And so I'd never played with that before, so I implemented that feature. So it's pretty cool. So now you can use 2.4 gig data radios that are relatively inexpensive to link multiple station controller modules together in your station. Last thing I'll mention is, speaking of station controller, we launched iShareRadio, which is the multi-client, it's a single user at a time, multi-account software environment for Flex Radio that lets you have, let's say all of your club members have their own login credentials. They could access the remote station and all that. We had a whole lot of interest. A whole bunch of people signed up for that, which is cool. I had two substantial ham radio clubs approach us wanting to do station controllers and iShareRadio. And I don't want to announce who it is yet because we haven't installed it and got it up and running, but I'm expecting in the next 3 or 4 months that we'll get some other stations up on the air that are very high profile that people have heard of, running iShareRadio and the station controller. So that's exciting because the really cool thing is, like, these groups came and looked and said, we heard something about this. What do you got? And we explained what we're doing. And the reaction from everybody there was, wow, that's exactly what we're looking for, which is really nice. It's a very niche thing, but
I don't think it's nearly as niche as you think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to become more and more popular. So basically, if you want to do a remote station turnkey off the shelf and not invent anything, just take stuff out of a box, plug and play.
For a group.
Especially for a group.
Yeah.
Or for yourself.
It's less useful as if you're the only user of your station, right? Because then
I'll tell you why. Here's my argument. It's particularly great for a big group. I mean, you really need it for that.
Yeah.
But as an individual, I want to be able to turn my stuff on and off. I know you leave your station on, so it's not a big deal. But
that's the station controller stuff. I'm talking about iShareRadio.
Yeah, iShareRadio doesn't really do you any good for an individual.
Yeah, okay. I was talking about iShareRadio. Sorry, not station controller.
Yeah, iShareRadio, where that comes into play is not if it's just you and your radio, but let's say, for example, if you wanted to use my radio, and I didn't know when you're going to access my radio, I would normally just give you my credentials but like, let's say this afternoon I decided to unplug the antenna and didn't tell you, or you didn't read the email. and you tried to use it. Well, like, how would you know?
Yeah.
And you would just try it and it would not work.
Well, you don't even have to go into that argument. I don't like sharing credentials, because now if I want to give the credentials to Thomas as well, and then I decide George is no longer a friend and I want to revoke George's privileges but still let Thomas use it, now I need to change the password and give Thomas the new password. And shared credentials are a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Wow,
So-
this episode got ugly in a hurry.
It did. It did. Well, no, I get it though. Like, and just also too, like, you want to change your credentials for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden, well, like, who did I give this to, and who has access to this? And it's. I agree with you 100%, Mark. Shared credentials, not good.
It's like sharing your Netflix login.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the other case is like, let's say, maybe George and I make up and I give him the credentials again, but now Thomas gets popped and all of his passwords get stolen, and that's another.
So I think that
shared credentials are a bad idea.
I think that makes you sleep at night a lot better. The other thing that I think is really useful about it is if it's my radio and everything's working fine, any of you guys can log in and use it.
Yeah.
But let's just say, like today, I'm going to be working on the antenna, and I send you all an email. Hey, Saturday, I'm working on the antenna. You're not going to read it, right? So you don't want to go in and just sort of like start transmitting and well, there's no antenna on the radio. And so with iShareRadio, I can block it out so that you can't have access to it temporarily while the system is down for maintenance. Or maybe there's 4 antennas and one of them is down, but the other 3 are still working. So I can set it up so that you cannot select a thing that is not available, like an antenna.
That'd be good.
So
because I have it set for all your emails go straight to spam.
Yeah, thanks. No wonder you're not returning my emails.
Yeah,
dev null, baby, dev null.
Mm-hmm.
So there. There we go. So anyway, that and a bunch of other stuff. So it's been a really busy time. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Hamvention, any cool stuff that we saw beyond what we already talked about. And then we're going to wrap with a bit on field day prep. So we will be right back. Stay tuned. So let's talk a bit about our experience at Hamvention. I know we touched on many things in the beginning of the show, but there's probably a few more things we need to talk about, so we can kind of do a bit of a roundtable on that. But before we start, there is one particular thing I want to mention in my own experience that was really very special for me, and that is getting a chance to meet Paul WA1 VEI. Now, we're at Thursday at the vendor night at FDIM, and this fella comes up to me, Paul, and introduces himself and tells me how much he enjoys the podcast. And he went on quite a bit to really describe his experience of it. And it was very touching and very, very much appreciative, because the things that he was talking about were things that were really our goals as we make this podcast. And so it was wonderful to meet Paul. It was really a treat. And it turns out that wasn't the end of the story. So, actually, Thomas, do you want to talk about what happened when we went to dinner?
Yeah. So, Paul, I've known Paul now for a while. He's a good friend and a super, super nice guy. And he came up to me, I think it was at Hamvention, Paul can correct me later. And he kind of took me off to the side and he's like, I got this thing that I'd like to deliver. I hope it's received in the way that I'd like it to be received.
Yeah.
And he showed me what he wanted to do. And I just said, oh my gosh, this is so freaking amazing. And you have no business delivering this because we need to have a little separation here. And I can tinker with this a little bit. So just leave this in my hands. And he did. And do you want me to tell what kind of what it was?
Okay. He understood the assignment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he did. And so basically what Paul had done was he created this fake letter from like the Ohio, was it like it was like
dude, you just
it looks so
roll
real
with it. This is real. This is absolutely real.
And from the Ohio State Conservancy, something for state parks. And in this letter, it basically said that, hey, we noticed that last year your crew, were doing some questionable things with trees. And this all goes back to, I wasn't there. I missed this last year because I had to leave Hamvention a little early. But I saw stories, I saw videos, I saw photos that made me laugh of watching everybody getting a line stuck in a tree, and then it looked like they were
not
literally
everybody. Not everybody.
Yeah.
Just one of us got their line stuck in the tree.
Okay. It's me. It was me. And it. So we're operating POTA on Monday, and so I put a wire antenna up in a tree.
Yep.
And then
You did.
at some point it was time to retrieve the antenna wire, and it didn't go willingly. And so we brought out all manner of hardware to try to dislodge the wire. Now I know no one's ever been there before, but for me it was an experience trying to get the darn wire out of the tree.
Yep.
Now
So you tossed a boat up in the tree, or yeah. Anyway.
so we're like tossing rocks, we're tossing sticks, anyway. Go ahead, Thomas.
So basically, Paul, produced this really cool letter that just seemed very believable. And
I
basically,
still insist that it's real.
and in it said, we want your, what was it like? Instead of colleagues, at first it said co-conspirators, and they struck it out, and he put in like colleagues. I'm leaving you with a book to maybe help give you guidance or something, and you can read the real content of the thing. But he had a book, a children's book that he had specially ordered for this, called Stuck. And it was about a boy who had gotten his kite stuck in a tree, and then everything he threw in the tree to get the kite out got stuck in there too, and it got absolutely ridiculous. And so I kept this. I was waiting for the right opportunity to present it for Paul on his behalf. And so I gave it, what I did was at our dinner that we had, I think it was Sunday evening, the crew got together, the Ham Radio Workbench crew and friends, and we were at the steakhouse and we were talking, and I looked at George and I was like, George, by the way, I got everybody's attention. I said, I went to a park today and they saw me and had heard my voice and recognized who I was or whatever, and they wanted me to deliver this to you. And I gave George an envelope with the letter in it and the book. And George read it out loud. And then he looked in the book and started reading the book. And he absolutely lost it. And it was so wonderful to see. George was just seriously losing it trying to read this book. And Paul just knocked it out of the ballpark.
Like I said, Paul, you understood the assignment. This was
Yes.
very well done.
Yep.
This is exactly our kind of humor. So thank you.
It totally hit the mark, and it was on one level it was hilarious because it was like the cartoon version of our experience at POTA trying to get the darn wire out of the tree and throwing everything but the kitchen sink and maybe even that into the tree. And then at the same time, it was also very thoughtful and very sweet of him, not only to take the time to do this, but to kind of be part of the experience because he heard about this.
Yeah.
And so, by him doing that, it's kind of like, okay, well, you may not have been there at the time, but you're kind of part of that whole
part of it now.
situation, right?
You're in.
It was very touching that he would take the time and effort to do that. And so it was just, and we all loved it because it's like, we were there and we could relate to this.
Yeah.
So Paul, that was super.
It was very special.
Awesome of you. Thank you. So that was probably the highlight, frankly, of my experience at Hamvention, even though there are many highlights, but that was certainly way out there. So totally unexpected and very much appreciated.
Very special.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes.
So Thomas, what other things did you find at Hamvention besides the stuff we've talked about?
Well, so for me, Hamvention, a lot of it's also tied into 4 Days in May. And this year I was doing a presentation to 4 Days in May, which I'm happy to hear, like a lot of people, it was received really well because it had less to do about QRP. It had more to do about post-Hurricane Helene. And I did a special presentation for them with a lot of images and stuff. And someone came up to me and said, Thomas, your presentation had nothing to do with QRP, but it was like the best presentation or something. He said something like that. The presentations at the QRPA RCI 4 days in May event are always really, really good. I always feel very honored to even be a part of that crowd. And I'm always worried about like the person in front of me. I'm like, boy, this is going to be like a tough act to follow. And it always happens that way because they've got such a high caliber of people there. And the 4 days in May, even more so than Hamvention, I really, really enjoy doing the vendors night, which back in the day, like 10 years ago, you basically had the 4 days in May crowd there, the people who go to the symposium on Thursday. So it was, probably 300 people or something, which felt like a lot. Now it is like, I mean, you guys were there. You've been there like the past
Oh, yeah.
2 or 3 years. It is insane the number of people that come into that room. It is absolutely insane.
It's
And
packed shoulder to shoulder. I mean,
it
if you
is.
walk
It is.
through and you want to see a table, you have to kind of hope that there's a little stream of people headed that way.
It is
I think
insane.
what's going on is like if you first time I ever went to was probably 6, 7 years ago, and it was kind of like the hardcore QRP crowd. Mostly
Mhm.
guys who want to like build their own radios and understand how someone designed their antenna tuner or whatever. They're like traditional QRP guys. And I think what's happened is with the super popularity of portable operating
Yeah.
and QRP radios for portable operating, there's this big crossover. So it's not only the traditional QRP crowd, but it's the field portable crowd, the
Yeah.
Savotta guys that are like, hey, wait a minute, this is like our stuff too. And the same gear, the same technical stuff, the people are interesting. So I think that's really driven the attendance.
To that end, I don't know if they knew how successful it was going to be, but ARRL's National Parks on the Air event
Yeah.
was way more impactful in the hobby than
Mhm.
I certainly predicted. But
Yeah.
the impact that event had on me was tremendous. I have done more operating in the field and in general since National Parks on the Air than I ever did before that.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And
Yeah.
I didn't do NPOTA because I didn't have the equipment or the knowledge.
Yeah.
Once I started doing POTA, it's 100 to 1, the
Yeah.
So it's
operating
funny
knowledge.
it's funny you mentioned that, Mark. I didn't do National Parks on the Air until I was driving with Eric, WD8RIF, to Hamvention and 4 days in May in 2016. It's exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's when the KX2 was announced on the way over there. Wayne
Oh.
touched base with me. He's like, hey, we just released this thing. And that was really good timing for National Parks on the Air too. And I did a couple of activations on the way to Hamvention, and I
Yep.
thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I
Yeah.
had just sort of missed out. Eric had been doing it all year long. He was like the leader in Ohio forever. And anyway, I immediately left and went to Canada for like 2 months. So I didn't get to do National Parks on the Air in Canada. They weren't doing it there. I came back and I did, I think it was 92 activations between August and December at the end of it. And it was just because it was absolute pure fun. I wasn't trying to
Yeah.
win anything.
Yeah.
And so everybody who really got hot and heavy with National Parks on the Air that year had like a massive hangover at the beginning of the year.
January 1st, 2017, I was looking for the next one.
Yep, me too. Me too.
Yeah, and
Everybody was. It was.
that's where I found POTA and Soda and was it Islands on the Air? I think was the
Yeah.
other.
IOTA.
Worldwide
IOTA.
flora and fauna.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody was looking for something, and then so POTA came around, and that's the thing about 4 days in May. Like, so the vendors' night, there are a couple of things that have made that thing explode. One of them is the fact that the YouTubers all found it, right?
Yeah.
And so they come and they spread it, and then more people come, and it's like a warm up to Hamvention, right? You can get product there. It's interesting stuff. But of course, like POTA, even more so than Soda, but Soda, again, really big. They've really pumped a lot of interest in portable operating and accessories and stuff that you can get for that there. And I walked away that evening. So it's kind of funny, but like during the event itself, I think I walked 25 feet because I was stopped. There were like lines of people talking to me. I literally couldn't walk from one side of the room to the other. I didn't get to look at anything while it was all happening.
The
For
term
like
is holding court.
Well, it's the
Thomas was
opportunity
holding
to
court.
it's the opportunity to meet internationally famous, QRP contact K4SWL.
K4SWL, yeah.
Oh, I really, I'm an introvert, but I really love meeting everyone. And it was like a practice in gratitude of just saying thank you so much. And people are so kind. But when things started thinning out, I went around then really quickly and looked at what was left over, and of course, it looked like the locusts had come in, right? So there wasn't a whole lot left. But I did go over to what's it called? Ages ago, it used to be like Doug Hendricks' group, and now it's something different. QRP. Is it QRP Kits? I can't remember. I'll have to look it up and see. But one of the guys who used to do a lot of Doug Hendricks' kits, he has his own like QRP Kits site. He does some amazing stuff, really, really cool stuff, and it's all super affordable.
That's
I ended up buying
QRP Guys, isn't it?
That's it, QRP Guys, QRP Guys, and I walked by there and I was like, oh, I got to get some stuff. I wanted to get some kits. And so I picked up, thinking about my daughter Neva, I picked up a little receiver that he has because forever, what was the name of that company? Is it Midnight Science that used to make receivers that pick up like natural noise, like whistlers and things like that?
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like only one company that really made kits that did that. And he's made one now, and it's like, I don't know, it's somewhere between $25 and $35 for one that's really small and works really well. I picked up one of those kits. He has an aircraft band receiver. I didn't get that one. I'll probably buy it later, just to do it. I don't need one. I'll just do it to do it. I got a KX2 paddle kit that he makes that goes on the front of the KX2. I just thought that'd be kind of fun to do. And it was wonderful seeing all those things. That's where my interest lies these days. And at Hamvention itself, having media passes and vendors passes like we do, we get in early so that we can get things set up. And a lot of us get in early enough that we go peruse the flea market a bit before it opens up, and we have to be at the table. It does mean not everybody has their stuff out yet, but I went through really quickly, and I was telling myself back in the day, 15 years ago, the flea market was my favorite thing. Like that's where I went for the flea market. Now I go there and I really only kind of do one big sweep of the flea market and I'm kind of done. And this time I thought, there's nothing I really need. I don't really need to buy anything. And I asked myself, I was like, Thomas, if there's like one thing that you saw, what would you buy? And we'll use that as the guide for what you buy. And I thought, if I see an SGC 2020 for a good price that works, I'll get it. And by golly, I found one. So I got it just to do it, really. I want to take it and play with it. And Vlado's been working on a lot of them, reconditioning them, doing stuff for people lately. And he said, this is a great radio. It's easy to work on. It's still lots of parts you can get for them. And so that was the only major thing I bought at Hamvention was that SGC 2020.
Okay, so how much did you pay for it?
$320.
Well, it's not bad.
I don't think for Hamvention, Hamvention, it's rare that you find a super good deal at Hamvention just because it's such a big gathering. If you want a good deal on a radio or a higher priced item, you need to go to the smaller Hamfest. You'll usually find a lot better deal when you go to small Hamfest. But I was really pleased with it, and I've tested it. It seems like it's working fine.
Good deal.
And yeah, I like it. I'm very pleased with that price.
Yeah, my experience in the past decade or so with the flea market at Hamvention, it always was legendary for the great deals on rare things that you couldn't find anywhere else. Is once eBay became a thing, that really affected the flea market because people will tend to sell there instead of trucking it into Ohio, and also the pricing gets a little nuts.
Yes. Yeah, when people when you're at a you're at a Hamfest or something, and you're like, how much is that? And they're like, well, I was just looking on eBay and people are selling them for $900. And I'm like, yeah, that's a $300 thing. And you're looking on eBay and those are not sold products probably. But people do whatever they want to do with pricing. But it was, the flea market, it was very healthy and it just seemed like a lot of activity. I mean, what was their final count of people that came to Hamvention this year? Was it like nearly 38,000?
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's the number I remember.
It was really high. It was
bonkers.
I'm sort of, speaking of eBay, I'm kind of down on eBay. I think as soon as eBay became a thing, like you said,
Hmm.
all the swap meet stuff, like why would you take your radio to the swap meet where, 200 people might see it as opposed to eBay?
Yeah.
But eBay is so darned expensive now. If you list
Yeah.
anything on there, you list it, you pay it, for every little aspect of your listing. They
Mhm.
take a big chunk. It's really quite expensive. So you do reach a much larger audience, but it's really an expensive way to sell a
And
thing.
and there's a lot of overreach on eBay too. As a Canadian,
Hmm.
I'm a guy who's been selling on eBay for 20 years. And recently I went to list something and I was going to suck up with the high price of listing it. And then they said, oh, in order for you to receive your money, you have to fork over your social insurance number. And I'm like,
Really?
no,
Is that eBay or PayPal?
eBay.
Okay.
I
Wow.
already have it set up with PayPal. I
Yeah.
get my money from PayPal. Dear eBay, why do you need that information? No, that's a tremendous overreach. So
Yeah.
eBay can kiss my grits.
Yeah, and there's a whole other thing with eBay too that I think started out good. eBay in the early days was amazing. I thought
Mhm.
it was really amazing, and there was like almost a community to it. Now, like another thing is like let's say that you're selling like an SGC 2020, right? It's pretty rugged radio. It's heavy. Um, you have to really think about your shipping because the shipping can really, really knock it out of you, especially if someone buys it and they live in a place where it just costs a lot more to ship it there. If you have to think about if you take returns or not, if someone pays for those returns, and then you may even say, I've done something before. My wife sold some things that were like antique things, and she put on it like, this is just you buy it. There's no returns because it's like a $10 thing, and then someone receives it and they're like, this wasn't the size I thought it would be, and we had it all listed, and they would come back and say, I really want to return it, and then eBay sort of doesn't help. They don't help a seller when a seller's like, I listed this as is. We had the size listed on here. And they're like, well, you can do it, but then you could get a bad grade from the buyer because even though they're not adhering to anything that you had set out. And so I just kind of feel like it's, especially with radios and things that are higher priced, it's a pain
Yeah,
because I always try to do full disclosure, but it doesn't matter if you do or not.
I've had a couple of times where that has happened, and eBay was 100% on the buyer's side,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it's like, we don't care what your rules were. You take it back and you pay them.
Mm.
So
I try not to use PayPal whenever I can. Especially as a business, I don't use PayPal at all because I've had a really bad experience when I first started up the company that I had some money go through them and they're like, we don't like you. Can you tell me why? Nope. We're just going to hold on to your money. And it was like a month before and a whole bunch of back and forth. And yeah, they arbitrarily decided that they wanted my money. They're acting like a bank, but are not regulated like a bank.
Yeah.
And I just
Mm.
piss off. I can't. I won't do business with them.
Okay, so what anything else at the Hamvention that struck you?
I think what struck me is just in general is that even at Hamvention, I'm finding a lot more smaller vendors there than even in the past. Some of our friends were like sort of like us at one table. Like N6ARA, K6AR, K6ARK, and N5FY. They share one table space with three different companies, and they work together. And I saw sort of more of those sorts of things happening, which I think is really cool because it takes those Hamvention spaces are not cheap for little smaller companies to come in.
Yeah.
But those are the things I love seeing. Like I think too, like what you and Mark are doing with all the things that you produce too. I think it's so great that like we kind of have this synergy with
Excuse
this
me.
group and having so many small vendors that are feeling a niche in the market. But when you got 38,000 people walking around, there's a pretty big niche there there's a pretty big market in that niche.
yeah.
And I love seeing that. And I thought it was a great Hamvention. I was really happy I didn't walk away with another Bengali because that's awfully
Were they
easy to
all out?
do. You just like walk past there, and I don't know. It's like the people that were like, "Yeah, I just looked at my wife, and all of a sudden we're pregnant," sort of thing. You know,
Thomas, come and look at the keys,
it's
Thomas.
true.
Come and look at the keys.
I was so proud of myself. I will end up getting another one from them at some point too, because I just love that company.
They may be great people and great keys, but good grief, I am so glad I am not in the building with them.
Oh,
And that there
because
isn't a CW vendor near us, because that beeping all weekend would drive me up the wall.
It's
Anyway, go
square
on.
wave. That's why it drives you crazy.
Yeah.
It's a square wave oscillator.
So, Paul, how about you? Did you see anything at Hamvention that we haven't talked about?
I was kind of proud of myself. I walked the flea market. I did the early walkthrough on Thursday after we're done setting up. And then I did a full walkthrough on Friday morning. And I bought nothing at the flea market. I mean, there was nothing that reached out and screamed, "Take me home." So I was kind of proud of myself that I have learned to look at things that are like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," and go, and keep moving on. Or if I walk past a radio that I had, when I was a kid, I'm like, well, and I have the memories, and I look at it and go, "Oh, that was nice." And then I also say, that DX100B does weigh almost 100 pounds, and I don't have a place for it. So, so I bought nothing in the flea market. I mean, I did go there with a few things in mind that I wanted to get from dealers, and I got most of it. But I mean, it's always fun to see the new stuff, especially on some of the smaller dealers off to the side. So that was good. Our club brought our new MCOM trailer that we've built. It's partially MCOM, partially community outreach and school outreach with STEM and things like that. And we had the ARDC folks came over, and they were very impressed, and they were happy with how we had managed, the funding they gave us. And
We love them.
we had probably, I think, because I wasn't over there a lot because I was with you guys most of the weekend. We had about 400 to 500 people come through and tour the trailer and see it. So that was pretty exciting. The biggest part, I mean, I so look forward to Xenia every year because, spending as it is now when we hang out till Monday, 5 days with us is it's just a blast. It's like a highlight of the year. And it just reminds us, why the hell do we all live so far apart?
Yeah.
But
Because I won't move to Indiana. That's why.
Well, yeah. Okay. That's your problem.
We got room in Oregon, just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, we had it. It's partially, it's a lot of work because, I mean, we're there at the booths to do stuff. I always work with Mark because I'm kind of I can talk the OHIS stuff.
Let me sum it up here. You're Mark's Josh.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I like to say it.
Paul, I'm sorry, you're underrating yourself. You're the booth candy.
I am the booth
You
candy.
are. You're the booth
Mark's
candy.
side, yeah.
Especially when you're wearing that Tilly hat.
Yep. And the workbench OHIS shirt.
Yeah.
But it's also cool to get the people that come by that listen to us. And
it's one of my favorite things about going to
between
shows.
that and Amateur Radio Newsline, because some people recognize me from there. When we just do this and put it out there, and we have no idea if anybody's listening or watching, but when you get people that come by and say, "Hey, I listen to this every week with Newsline. I've been listening every week for years, and I really look forward to it." And in this case, I don't make them any shorter, and B, I love the dynamic between you, and you guys sound like just a bunch of friends talking, which is what
we are.
This kind of sounds like conversation at dinner, every night after the fest shuts down. So, I mean, that really is the cool thing.
I mean, when we go out to eat, like the first thing George asks is, "What's on your plate?" And then we have to go around the round table.
Yeah. So, and then
I thought it was like, if you don't eat that, can I have it?
Yeah.
Well, that too. Well, that's the second thing afterwards. That's after dinner.
You're not gonna eat that, are you?
Yeah. One of the cool things that I got to do was Sunday as we were packing up. Carlos K9OL was out there with a friend of his, N1OG, this year, and he also always gives talks and stuff. And he, depending on the weather, he tries to do a dive. He's the crazy guy who operates while parachute mobile.
He's one of them. There are a few, but yeah.
Yeah, well, so he usually tries to do at least one jump a day, but the weather this year, first off, the temperature was perfect. There was no day that was too hot, but it was also not good weather for jumping until Sunday. And he always dedicates one jump to where he will work all the youth there first before he talks to any of the adults. And he only got the one jump in. So I was there with the HT waiting, and I could hear him and Paul, when they jumped. And there were so many kids there Sunday waiting to talk to the two guys in the parachute that by the time they had gone through the last kid, Carlos was down below the level where he's got to shut down and get ready to land. So Paul had time for a few more contacts. So I managed to get in and I talked to Paul. It's always fun to be, I'm standing there with an HT and there's, miles away, 20,000 feet in the air is some dude in a parachute with an HT. So I got to talk to Paul. So
a few years ago, I got to work Carlos when he was jumping on 20 meters from California.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that was neat.
Because often, George, this, often when he does the HF jumps, he uses the Pactena.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got some amazing photographs that he's taken as either while he's parachuting or about to jump, with pictures of him in the Pactena. Yeah, it's really wild. We put those on the webpage.
Yeah. And the other thing that is we really look forward to on our weekend there is Monday. After everything's packed up and everything, we've crashed, we've had dinner, we've gone to sleep. Monday we all get up and we go out to a park and we all do POTA and we just hang out. And aside from some fun things related to the book and everything and story time, I set up George, you can talk about your little HT project. I got to set up now. I most of what I was doing, because band conditions were not good. I set up my 857 and I was working that for the most part. But I got to finally plug in my QMX, and I didn't have any time to really try activating with it. However, there was a guy sitting at the table right behind me. So I got on there and I made my first contact on my QMX in CW even.
Woohoo!
I heard you calling on voice at one point.
Yeah, but the conditions, you couldn't, yeah.
No, the conditions were terrible. So
yeah.
I was out that day at a national park about 45 minutes from home, and I set up a Pactena dipole. I flat topped it, and I aimed it towards you guys, and I was urgently trying to hear any of you.
Yeah.
And I heard Paul, but he was just at the noise floor, and there's no way he could hear me. I was working guys around you, but not you guys.
But my first contact on my QMX was CW. So,
yay! Yeah, very happy about that. It was fun. It was fun too. And Paul and I had prearranged. We talked about this months ago, but he said, "Hey, at Hamvention, let's do some throw line practice." And we had a really good time doing that. I made a little video of it. I haven't even looked at it yet, but I think Eric was holding the camera for us and stuff. But Paul very quickly got the hang of using a throw line, and we had a tree there. There were some people underneath the ideal tree, so we waited until they left. We didn't want to like
Yeah.
start throwing bags of pellets at them and stuff like that, of shot.
You
But
can just walk over and say, "Don't worry, it's just RF radiation. It's not a problem." And believe me, they would leave.
They'll leave pretty quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
they would like they've never proven that this causes anything. Um, but it was really great. And I have to say that on the Monday thing, not to interrupt your thing here, Paul, but I got to spend some time with Mark's MCHF and your Brown Brothers key, pairing those together. And I tell you what, that was heavenly. That was a heavenly combination. I really enjoyed it and had a banging activation with that MCHF. That thing was just, it was brilliant. I thought the audio was great. I loved the keying action on it. I like the display. I like the size of it. I thought it was wonderful. And I wasn't using headphones. I was doing a video, so I just used the internal speaker, which was great on that radio.
Cool. And I'm glad you got to use my BTLA, because now you understand.
Mhm.
I mean, this is the only paddle I've ever used since I was a novice. And I was thrilled when I got to pick up a second one a few years back at Huntsville that has become, my POTA key when I don't need something light.
It feels really premium. Like the action and everything is just really premium
And the
feeling.
thing was, I'm trying to do the math for the cost translation from, because I got mine. They shut down, I think, in 1979 or 1980, because it was one guy
Mhm.
in his house in his basement in St. Louis that made these keys from the 60s up until right around 79. Did all the casting and all the plating and all the machining, everything at home.
Dang.
And I've got a flyer from about the time I got mine, and it was $25 or $35, I think, in
Mhm.
1978 money. So that's 100 and some bucks now. So I mean, it was not a super expensive key, but it was so extremely well made. And the cool thing, for if you're on the video, you can see this. If you're not, if you look up, in the early days, Brown Brothers paddles were made traditionally, like with the needle bearings and all that. But at one point, he came up with a design where the hinge is just a leaf of spring steel. And so there's no bearing points or anything to get out of alignment or wear out. And once you set it up, I mean, my one here in the shack, it's been set up for almost 50 years now, and it never changes. So,
That's amazing.
yep.
So, anything else from Hamvention?
No.
All right, Mark, how about you? Anything final thoughts on the Hamvention experience? I guess you had quite the saga getting there.
I did. So, really quickly about Hamvention, it was fantastic for me. I had a wonderful time. The weather was, as I make it very clear that I am a weather wimp. I cannot handle humidity or heat or both. And it was downright pleasant this entire trip. I got a little bit on the hot side on Monday, but I was able to stay in the shade at the park that we were at, and with a breeze flowing through the little building we were in, it was gorgeous. I had such a great time on that one. As far as the show went for me, this is the first show I've been to where I sold out of most of the product I brought with me. And people who wanted to buy the things that I had already sold out of, I sold it to them. I collected their money, gave them the show price, and then I shipped it to them when I got home. So, yeah, sales were great, and met a lot of people, ditto on all the things that y'all have said about meeting listeners to the show and saying hi and all that fun stuff. It's always wonderful. But the big thing for me was the drive out there. Um, at one point, I priced out plane tickets, and they were so expensive from where I live, excuse me, that I did the math to figure out how much it would cost to drive. And budgeting buckets of money for food and for hotel on the drive out there, overestimating on those things, I still saved about $1,000 by driving than by flying. And I'm like, okay, an excuse to go on another journey, twist my arm. And so I drove from California out through the Mojave. Well, okay, I won't give you the play by play. I hit a bunch of national parks on the way out there. I went through the Mojave National Park, Zion, Bryce Canyon, and Arches. And so, coming up from Southern California through the very southern tip of Nevada, through southern Utah, was one of my favorite places on the planet. Man, that place is so beautiful. That whole area is just gorgeous. And then up through the Rockies into Denver, and then just kind of went straight across eastern Colorado and Kansas. I got to spend some time with family in Lawrence, Kansas, which was a lot of fun. Got to say hi to them. And then I stopped by the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the Wednesday of practice before the Indy 500. So there were a bunch of cars out on track. I got to spend a couple of hours at the museum at the Speedway, which if you're into open wheel racing at all, go to that museum. It is bonkers what kind of history they have there on display that you can look at and, just reach out and touch, but don't touch because they don't like that. But, like Ray Haroon was the guy who won the very first Indianapolis 500. Fun fact, he also invented the rear view mirror at the same time. Like literally, every other car in the field had two people in the car, the driver and what's called a riding mechanic. And the riding mechanic's primary job was to look around and be aware of other cars around them and warn the driver if somebody was coming up. Ray Haroon's like, I don't want to carry a second person. That's a lot of weight. And so, but they wouldn't let him go without someone to watch around them. And he's like, all right, fine, I'll rig up a mirror. And he rigged up a mirror above his windshield. And it was literally the very first rear view mirror ever. And it was used in that first Indy 500.
That sounds wild. The only thing that would be better is if they would have gotten R2D2 units for their cars, because they would do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, it's that was not so long ago. It was only about 100 and some odd years ago. R2 units are from a very long time ago.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Far away. Yeah.
So Mark, I want to ask you though, how, because you, like me,
I do
are
like you.
sometimes influenced, sometimes influenced, your journey will be influenced by the availability of barbecue places. And did you hit any really good ones on the way over to Hamvention?
Yes. So this place is apparently big in Kansas City, Missouri, but they just opened a branch in Lawrence, Kansas. And like I said, my wife has cousins that live out in Lawrence, and we like them a lot. So I stay with them, and they took me to Q39. And I went to Q39 in Lawrence, Kansas, and holy cats, that was good. I also went to a place in Kansas City, and I'm Brian or AB or BA. I'm blanking on it. I'll have to go look up the name. It was one of the places that is, super well known for barbecue. Not gonna lie, I was disappointed. It was not very good. I was they're like the big brand name that everyone goes to. It's kind of like Dreamland in the South, but anyway, and I was not pleased with it. So, yeah. I had some mixed barbecue experiences. Q39, really good though.
Noted.
Yeah, and then after Indy 500 practice, I went on into Xenia. I arrived Wednesday night. We did the whole Thursday setup and whatnot, and then FDIM vendor night. All of that was fantastic. Uneventful in all the right ways, eventful in all the right ways. Got to meet a bunch of people, say hi, it was great. And then on the way home, I was originally planning on making it 5 days and leaving on Monday. But at the end of Sunday, I was so beat that I just wanted a day to rest. And we went out and did the POTA, but I was, very slow and it wasn't a rush to get there. It was more of a recharge than tiring. And so we went out and did the POTA and we had fun. And I came back to the hotel and I think I was asleep by 6 p.m. And I woke up in the morning on Tuesday and made it home in 4 days instead. So my trip home was very much a GTF home sort of thing. It wasn't so much a journey on that case in that way. But yeah, that journey was wonderful. I worked POTA in those national parks. I was not able to make my 10 for Mojave. Excuse me, I just didn't make enough contacts, but I did for Bryce Canyon and Arches.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it was good. Oh, the one other thing for anyone who's gluten intolerant, in Moab and in Denver, there are pizza restaurants that use deglutenized wheat starch for their crust. And it is the closest thing to a delicious, like New York style crust that you can get and still be gluten free. Oh my God, they were good. I'll have to find the names of them. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Oh, Marco's Coal Fired in Denver. There are two of them, one downtown and one kind of in the south-ish part of town. So good. I go there every time I drive through. So if you're gluten intolerant and like pizza and find yourself in Denver, go find Marco's Coal Fired. That's it.
That's the real reason to drive, apparently. It's not the pleasure of the drive or the POTA, it's the fact that you can find some cool places to eat along the way.
Yes. The barbecue and the gluten-free pizza is definitely a large part of it. The POTA in the national parks. The drive through eastern Colorado and Kansas is kind of you know, it's kind of pretty in its stark beauty, but it's a lot of the same over and over again. Utah, man, southern Utah, there is nothing like it. All the way up through the Rockies and everything. It's just awe-inspiring.
You're reminding me, quick side story, has nothing to do with any of this. We were driving that particular route from Denver through eastern Colorado into Kansas when the girls were really small. We went out there to visit some friends in New Mexico and stuff and Denver. And we came through a little town. I can't think of the name of it now. But, you know, when the girls, we've always raised them taking them to museums. And we love a good science museum. And there was a science museum in this town. We were like the only people there. It was a really weird day, like a Monday morning or something. There was like nobody else there. And we knew that they had dinosaurs like at this place because, of course, that's really big in that part of the country. And one of my daughters said, there aren't any big animatic dinosaurs or anything like that. Here are the big scary ones. And I was like, oh, no, I'm sure not. No, there's like no way. And we like walk into this room that had the most gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex that moved towards you and opened its mouth like it was going to eat you. And she never forgave me for that. I mean, like the earth trembled when this thing moved. It was so good. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's out in the middle of Kansas. But you're right. That was the most exciting part along that trip, because that trip's kind of just, you know, you just kind of get there. You just go through it. Yeah. It's pretty in its own kind of prairie way. But that's a long trip that you took. I'm glad that you made the most of it. And but like I was going to ask George, because like you and George both were so busy at the booth. I mean, like our booth, the Ham Radio Workbench, Sierra, Halibut, everything booth was just jam-packed the entire time. There was never any rest time. So George, did you get any chance to actually buy anything or kind of peruse Hamvention?
Not really. No, actually, I was running all over the place when I wasn't in the booth. I was either over at the DX Engineering booth because they had a demonstration of our stuff there, or I'd stop by the Flex booth and because they were demonstrating our stuff, or I was in our booth. And the only time I really had a chance to walk around at all, I went over to, I think, building 4 or 5, where Adam, K6ARK, and Ara were hanging out because I just want to go by and say hi. So I went over there to see him, and I bought my big purchase was the little cloth strips that say "Remove before POTA" or "Remove before soda."
From
so
Adam.
I thought that was so clever. I had to buy like a fistful of those things, but that was it. You know, I was so busy the whole time.
People ask us like, "Oh, did you have a great time at Hamvention?" I'm like, I was behind a booth the entire time. I was in the booth behind a table, like.
Probably the best part for me, besides like I love being busy in the booth like that.
Yeah.
But the other part, the best part for me is hanging out with you guys because even if we weren't doing a booth, this is the one time of the year that we can all get together, Vince, so
Rod.
that we can all kind of get together and hang out, and whether we do a poto or just go out to dinner and
Yeah.
shoot the
It's
breeze
so fun.
and talk radio. It's such a hoot.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's been really nice about that is that a lot of us like bring a friend, so that the
Yeah.
friend group grows, right? So
hmm
like coming from the Portland area,
hmm
part of the crowd is, of course, is Josh, because Josh works in the booth with me, and he's a great friend. And Dan N7CQR is now part of our crowd. Even I mean, he's not working in the booth, but like he hangs out with us.
Yeah.
And like everybody's kind of bringing their friends, and so the circle kind of gets bigger. And so I really love that. I think that's a real highlight for me.
And I
And it-
roomed with Alan, so I got to know him.
Yeah.
Right.
iShareRadio, Alan. Yeah. So
It's-
we were talking about my drive. Just when I got home from Hamvention drive, I turned around and headed up to Oregon. That's why I'm in the same room with George right now. We're going to CPAC tomorrow. So, yay, more driving. But after
We're
this
driving
trip,
and we're talking to people.
yeah, exactly. But after this weekend, I'll be able to take a couple of months break before for Huntsville. And I am debating whether I'll be doing Huntsville and Ham Expo. There are
They're on the other side of the
rationales.
country from you, but
They involved flying, which is really expensive right now, and I've always barely broke even on those trips, and yeah, I have to spend some time thinking about that. I may or may not go.
yeah, I think both of those are incredible events. Like Huntsville, sadly
events.
falls on the weekend. Usually my daughters are starting school, like they're like moving into dorms and things. I don't think I'll be able to go this year, and it's like I don't know how many hour drive for me. I don't know, 5 hours or something from where I live. But
Amateur.
I love going to the event. I haven't been there since 2019, but I really love it. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Hamex, I went for the first time
Same.
last year, and it was fantastic. And it's all about the symposium, like all the different presentations and things. The flea market area outside is pretty nice, but it's not massive, but it's a pretty decent size one. The people are amazing.
Yes.
It's a great group and a good venue too. But it is kind of difficult to make those decisions. I was thinking about Hamex again this year because I actually still think that maybe I'm going to make it up to the Pacific Northwest sometime in the fall or something. I don't know. But it was, one of the things you said, Mark, is really true. So all of us love spending time together because we see each other. We are all very close friends. And to just be there in person with each other is a lot of fun. And that Monday for the POTA stuff is really just an excuse to get together again and have fun. And it is all about decompression, actually. And I think that it's important for me after Hamvention being so super kind of like wired for that and so high. It's intense, it's a really intense thing.
Especially
to
for an
happen.
introvert like you.
Yeah. It is. It really takes me time to kind of recuperate from it, and that is a really important part of it, is having that decompression time. And what really what cracked me up was when we arrived on the site, and George had rented a picnic shelter at John Bryan State Park. And we all kind of arrived about the same time, but nobody talked to each other. They just immediately got to deploying antennas and putting up radios and stuff. It was like it was a military operation or something. I was like, wait, what did I miss here? Everybody was like really on top of it. It kind of reminds me of going on soda campouts. The first one I went on, I thought people would get together in the morning, they'd talk about where they're going and go up in groups nope, everybody just disperses. They just disperse in the mornings because they all want to hit their summits really early. But it was really fun, actually, because I got to see all this different equipment go up. Everybody kind of found their corner. They got a little separation, but we all kind of hung out together, too, and didn't take the operating too seriously, really, at the end of the day. We just kind of, it was an excuse to be out there in the field, and it was a lot of fun. And like you said, the weather was pretty darn nice.
Yeah.
And that shelter was really nice, really nice.
It was.
It's a
So
lovely
thanks,
shelter.
George, for getting that.
I was really glad that we can get it because it was a very convenient park, a very nice park to go to. and
Lovely.
the shelter was available. So I snapped it up as soon as I realized that it was a thing.
Yeah.
And it was really fun for me, not only for us to get together and do this stuff, but I love seeing everybody's gear. And I always wind up walking away from something like that with like, ooh, that's actually a nicer whatever than I thought, whether it's a key or a radio or an antenna or whatever, or just I get motivated. So, like when I see you guys operating, QRP CW, even though I like to do that too, I'm not that great at it. And when I see, you guys making contacts, it's like, well, doggone it, I could do it. So it's actually kind of motivational to give it a try. Plus, the other thing that was kind of a hoot. So the band conditions could have been better. Mark, you were pounding out quite a few contacts. Actually,
Yeah,
you did really well.
I think I did 12.
You did much better than I did. And at one point, so Dan and I each brought our Quan Chang handy talkies with the CW paddle. And so we resorted to 2 meters, sending CW across the picnic table.
Table to table.
Yeah. And then we like passed the handy talkies around. So I think at one point there were like 4 or 5 of us that all contacted each other to make our contacts. I don't know if that's kosher, but it was a lot of fun.
So yeah. I saw a photo of you guys kind of gathered around in a circle, and there was some story being read.
Yes, there was.
If I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, as a listener, like seeing a good Marvel superhero movie, sit through the credits and wait till the end of this thing. You need to see this one on YouTube.
Yeah, we have some shawarma for you in this episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Story time.
Well, I think we were going to draw this to a close. Now, the funky thing is at the very beginning of this, I said, well, after all this, we're going to talk about field day too. And we kind of plowed through all of our time. But
who would have guessed?
Not like we can't go on longer. So,
I mean, because apparently we can bag on forever, according to our host. Is that
and
the word? Gas bag. That's the word.
Vince, thank goodness you weren't there.
Can I tell you that of all the people that came to see us over the whole Hamvention weekend, everybody says don't make them shorter.
Yeah.
Yep.
To be fair, our audience is probably self-selecting for people who like long episodes.
Now listen,
that's probably true.
Let me say one thing. I wasn't there this year, as we all know, and I'm really grateful that you guys take a minute to record the videos of people saying, "Hey, thank you for Workbench." Because for those of us who can't make it, that's special for us too. So thanks.
Oh, yeah.
So needless to say, Vince, next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're going to be there, right?
You'll be there.
Well, Rod and I are getting kidnapped. There is a plan.
There's a black van on its way up to Canada right now.
I've already rented the black van.
The
reserved it.
black van with
no windows,
with free antennas written on the side.
That's right. That's right.
Not free
candy.
candy.
So before we wrap this up, since we did mention Field Day,
and Field Day's 2 weeks from now when this episode drops.
So Vince, why don't you take it? Do you have Field Day plans coming up?
I do. I am going to find the highest spot that I can get to in the mountains that doesn't expose me to bears, snakes, or mosquitoes.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. I'll wear my permethrin clothing. That's not going to help with the bears. But anyway, I'm going to get up as high as I can and work what I can. I'm going to go off and do a solo thing. I don't know if I'm doing it yet. I haven't planned as far yet to say whether I'm doing it on bicycle or what I'm going to do. But yes, I will be within a POTA entity. And with a little luck, I'll be in a SOTA entity as well.
So that's going to be a solo activity.
That's going to be solo.
For Saturday.
For Saturday and Sunday. Because last year what I did was I got home at about 9 or 10 p.m. local because it's close to the longest day of the year. It's only 7 days away from it. And I dragged my butt out of bed at about 2:30 a.m. and on about 3 hours sleep, grabbed a fresh shower and headed out. And what I was able to do was capture the sunlight coming up over the Rockies in just that magic hour with a little bit of snow remaining. And it was just, you see this pink cotton candy sky painting the pink cotton candy glow over the top of the snow. Yeah. And it's absolutely stunning. And you can only see it at certain times a year. So that's what I'm going for.
Oh, that sounds great. Are you doing QRP or QRO, or you have not decided? QRP.
Okay. Well, if you ever want to write up a QRO trip report, I did just register QRO.com.
I heard that. I heard that. Well, you guys were playing around in the shelter. I was banging out 112 contacts at a national park, hoping at least one of them would be with you guys, and none of them were. But I still ran into friends, which was pretty cool.
Awesome. Cool. So, Paul, how about you? Are you doing field day?
Yes. We're doing it with our club. And we're going to, one of our members lives out in the country, and he's got a shed that's got a part of it has been remodeled with air conditioning and kind of like a bar sort of thing. So if the weather gets ugly, we can go in there and cool off and eat and stuff. So we always do the club supplies, meat, burgers and chicken or whatever, and then everybody brings a side dish. And so we're going to have the trailer set up and operating. So we'll have the Aurora fired up. Yes, we have an Aurora in our trailer. And then other people, we always bring a POTA rig or something and set up. So we don't take the contacts part of it really seriously. I mean, we all are there to work, yeah, but we're not like that's the whole focus of the weekend. It's it's kind of like us doing POTA on Monday after Xenia. It's more to socialize, and we'll get people show up who are interested in what we're doing. So we'll talk about ham radio and stuff to them, but it's more of a social event. So, but yep,
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with the Aurora, do you have a generator that you are running the radio off of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of the build out for the trailer. We got a big honking generator, so it will not be powered from shore power.
Mark, how about you? Doing field day?
Yeah, so I had plans that I was going to drive up to Oregon City to go meet up with a friend of mine and join his club for field day, but turns out that friend of mine is going to be in Germany instead.
Bailed on you?
He bailed on me totally.
Some friend.
Good grief. So I will be going with my local club, W6WJ. I don't know whether it's been decided whether we're going to be 2 alpha or something like that, but we'll be some small number alpha in Santa Barbara section, W6WJ. And if that falls apart, which I don't think it will, then I'll operate from home as N6MTS 1 Delta.
So any particular radio plan using your MCHF or?
No, the club has QRO radio we'll be bringing. So we'll do something in the 100-watt range. I'm not sure what radios they are yet. I need to find that out because I want to spec up and configure a contesting console setup for each of the radios that we're going to have. So I need to go figure all of that out.
100 watts? That's like QRP, man.
Well, shush you, Aurora guy.
Snob.
I mean, I can say that because it's not mine.
Yeah.
Thomas, what's your plan? Oh,
and he's frozen.
Well, that's Thomas's thing. He'll be sleeping.
There we go. He'll be off the network.
So my plan. So I have not missed field day for probably 25 years. So
that's not true.
Well, that except for COVID year
22.
Okay, that's fair.
Too.
Fair. I did miss. I operated from home.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
but I was not out in the field because of COVID, and I got sick, and now it was a bummer. I missed that. But I've been doing field day since actually more than 25 years, since I was a teenager. And come hell or high water, I'm always operating field day because it's my favorite event of the year.
Except when you invite me to join you.
There's a correlation here.
There is a correlation here. I see what's going on.
So so back in COVID era, I got sick, and Mark came up to join our club in the Bay Area, and you guys had a great time, and I was sick.
I got to meet Wayne.
That's true.
I saw the KH1 before anyone else did.
So we're lucky. So Wayne and Eric have been coming to our Bay Area field days since, like, I don't know, 20 plus years ago, and a lot of the new radios Wayne brings up and kind of shares with us before the things go public. And of course, we're sworn to secrecy, but it's really fun to kind of see stuff before it hits the market. So he did that with the KX for me. Is the KX1 and the K4 we're at field day. That was really fun. But now I moved 3 years ago to Portland, and so I do field day with the Hoodview Amateur Radio Club, which is a fabulous club. Josh K7OSH is the president, and it's a great time. And this year I'm ditching my club because I'm going to be in Europe. So sadly, I'm not going to be at field day, but I will be at Ham Radio Friedrichshafen for the very first time. I've never been there. So that'll be fun and exciting. So I'm going to be hanging out in the Flex Radio booth. They invited me to come hang out there and talk about iShareRadio. So it's kind of a work thing, but it's ham radio. So how much work could it really be? So that'll be a load of fun. So
would you like an answer to that question?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Go on.
So anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. So any of you who are coming to Ham Radio Friedrichshafen, come by the Flex Radio booth and say hello. Love to hang out and chit chat a bit, and we should have a great time.
I believe that your trailer is going to do field day, though, right?
My trailer is going without me to field day.
Yep.
So I'm talking to Josh a couple months ago, and I said, "Man, I get some bad news." He said, "Oh, what's that?" I said, "I don't think I'm going to field day." He said, "Can we still have the trailer?" It's like whether George goes to field day is not important.
No, just
Whether
bring
the
the
trailer
trailer.
goes.
Just
If
bring
the
the trailer.
trailer's going is all we really care about. So yes, the trailer will be there.
You can live vicariously through your trailer.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it has a good time.
Yeah.
Mark, let's see. Mark, we already got you. We got everybody. Oh,
Except Thomas. We're still waiting for Thomas
Yeah.
to unfreeze.
Thomas, are you back? Looks like his internet's stuck. So we're going to assume nothing because we don't know if Thomas is going to be.
There he is.
There, he's back.
Sort of. Try it. And he's muted.
Yeah, I'm having some internet issues here right now, so it may pop on and off, but hopefully it'll hang out this time.
Field day.
But
go.
yeah, were you asking what I'm doing with field day? I have no idea yet. I'll be in the UK, so I'm not really sure if I could get to a summit or something where I could operate and kind of open the door to some stations in North America. That'd be awfully fun to do that. So put in your ham alert. M5SWL or MM5SWL. It depends on if I'm in Scotland or if I'm in England.
Why don't you just come to Germany for the weekend?
It's tempting. It is actually tempting to do it. I could get a pretty inexpensive flight out of Edinburgh and head that way, but we'll be doing some family stuff, and we will not have gotten there, but just not too long before that. So yeah, probably won't do that, but I probably will be doing amateur radio that weekend.
You're going to make me use CW to contact you, aren't you?
That's absolutely right. And you'll be able to do that. I'm always very forgiving, too, if people are feeling uncomfortable with CW, as long as you can hammer out your call sign and you can just hear your call sign come back, hopefully roughly around the speed that you were sending your call sign. I'll get you in the logs. But while I'm there, I will say that I'm hoping to meet up with a couple of people, some friends and people I know in the UK, and do a little radio with them. And it would be great on field day to go to a summit or something where I could hang out for a while and maybe work 20 and 17 and some of those higher bands to see if I can reach some stateside field day sites.
So do they operate field day? And I know I've worked stations in Europe on field day, but it's not like their field day, right?
Yeah, no, it's not an event for them. It's an ARRL event, but they know that it's an ARRL event, and there will be a lot of stations from the United States on, and so they may get on just to kind of, hey, I'll be a DX station, whatever,
Yeah, and I think some people take it on like sort of like taking on a contest that's not really in your area, but you still are kind of participating and you're trying to rack up some points and things and see how many people you can work in it. People will do that, but they don't do field day the same way, I don't believe. Now, it's been a while since I've lived there in the UK, and I'm trying to remember now. I did do a field event with a club then. This has been like 26 years ago or something, so I can't quite remember the details. But I got to say, there's a lot of field activity going on in the UK these days, and in Europe in general. Lots and lots of people hitting the field and doing stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if you work some people, on field day doing field work in Europe and UK.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm going to be taking my, like I said, my KX2. I'm also going to be taking my little Quanchang. I was going to take the fancy schmancy Kenwood, but then I realized that this Quanchang, I really kind of fall in love with this little cheap radio. So I'm going to take that with me and try to do some 2 meter simplex work, which is getting more and more popular.
Yeah, sure. And I think too, and I'm trying to remember, you may have said this when my internet was blipped out. Like Friedrichshafen actually is happening literally the same weekend as Field Day, right? Yeah. So there's like a real overlap there. It's going to make it hard for you to really do anything major
In the parking
from
lot.
Germany.
It will have some Flex radios apparently in the Flex booth. So maybe if we had an antenna, maybe, who knows? Okay,
I know a guy who's got some antennas that'll work with those. I think he's got a Friedrichshafen.
Might be able to bring one.
Just rub off some of the paint from the steel structure of the building and tap into that and test out the Antenna Genius tuner.
George,
I'm
why
sure
don't you
that
just pack a antenna with you?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, that's a good idea,
Very
Vince.
I'm sure that the
mnemonic.
people in Germany will not object to me scraping paint off the side of their building.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll be fine
Well,
with that.
so
Just
I
bring
think
a Sharpie marker to touch it up afterwards and never notice.
you guys are really not helpful. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, and want to say from all of us, the Ham Radio Workbench 73.
73.
73.
Be good humans.
Uncle Paul, would you read us a book?
I got my new QMX.
I know, but you're always on that thing. Read us a book, please.
Please. All right, little George, I'll read a story. Last year, after the big Hamfest, a bunch of guys got together out in a park, and they're all setting up their antennas, and one of them threw a wire antenna up into a tree. And it worked great. And then everything was done. And we got ready to go home and we start to take stuff down. But he found out that his wire was stuck in the tree. And everybody sat around and tried to get it out. Little Vince went and found a big stick. And we're poking up in the tree and trying to get it out of the tree. And it was still stuck. And finally, somebody just said, yank on it. And they pulled and they pulled. And they finally got it out of the tree. Yay! This book talks about stuck.
Oh, please read it to us, Paul.
Read us a story.
Okay, all right. So this is from a book called Stuck by Oliver Jeffers. It all began when Floyd's kite became stuck in a tree, or Floyd's antenna. He tried pulling and swinging, but it wouldn't come unstuck. The trouble really began when he threw his favorite shoe to knock the kite loose.
Not his favorite shoe.
His favorite shoe, and that got stuck too. What? So he threw up his other shoe to knock down his favorite kite, and unbelievably, both shoes got stuck.
No.
In order to knock down the other shoe, Floyd fetched Mitch. Mitch was his cat. So to get the cats get stuck in trees all the time, but they always manage to get down. Now this was getting ridiculous, so Floyd fetched a ladder. He was going to sort this all out once and for all, and up he put the ladder. And I'm sure you can guess what happened next. That's right. The ladder was borrowed from a neighbor, and he definitely would have to put it back before anybody noticed. So in order to do so, he flung a bucket of paint up into the tree. And he wouldn't, you know, the bucket of paint got stuck. And so then Floyd tried to knock down the bucket of paint with a chair to try and knock it down.
Good idea. Wow.
And a friend's bicycle then to knock down the chair that got stuck. And then the kitchen sink to knock down his friend's bicycle, which was all stuck in the tree. And then he got Floyd's front door to knock down the kitchen sink that tried to knock down the bicycle, which tried to knock down the chair, which tried to knock down the paint. And then he got the family car. And then the family car got stuck, and the milkman finally to knock down the family car. And then, he was really getting desperate, he got an orangutan to knock down the milkman, who surely had to be somewhere in the tree. Oh no, he got a small boat to knock down the orangutan, and the big boat to knock down the small boat. and then a rhinoceros to knock down the big boat, and a long-distance truck to knock down the rhinoceros. A lot of things in the tree. The house across the street to knock down the long-distance truck, and a lighthouse to knock down the house that's now stuck in the tree. And then he got a curious whale who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately, and he had there to throw down, to knock down the lighthouse that they threw up to knock down the neighbor's house. And they all got stuck. And then a fire engine was passing and heard all the commotion, and the firemen stopped to see if they could help at all. And up they went. First the engine said, "Can we help?" The firemen followed the engine one by one, and there they stayed, stuck between the orangutan and the boat. The fireman is definitely going to notice that they're missing, and Floyd knew he was going to be in big trouble. And then he had an idea. He went to find a saw. He lined it up as best as he could, and he hurled it at the tree. And that was it.
Surely that would work.
There was no more room left in the tree, and the kite came unstuck. Floyd was delighted. He had forgotten all about his kite, and he put it to use immediately, enjoying the rest of the day very much. That night, Floyd fell asleep, exhausted, although before he did, he could have sworn there was something that he had forgotten. Hang on a minute, lads. I've got a great idea. The end.
Wait, but Uncle Paul, I have a question.
Yes, little George.
What happened to the antenna?
Oh. Well, that stayed up there.
Oh.
Which is convenient, because next year when they all went back, it was still there.
Ooh, POTA.
POTA.
Hey!
Does this mean in our POTA kits we should bring a saw?
Yes.
And a whale.
And a whale, and a orangutan, and a rhinoceros.
Don't forget the large boat and the small boat.
And the lighthouse. Yes. So, and the long distance truck, which comes in handy for all of the radios and stuff.
That's true.
So, all right.
Thank you, Uncle Paul.
You're welcome. Now let's play radio.
Yay!
So from all of us at the Ham Radio Workbench, we want to say a big thank you to Paul, WA1VEI, for being such a great part of our Ham Radio Workbench family. Thank you, Paul.
Paul is the one who got us the book and got us a nice letter from the Ohio Park Department.
It's true.
So thank you very much, Paul.
Absolutely understand our sense of humor. Well played.
Thank you, Paul.